hour. Who remembers that with Thunderbirds? And tonight we got a action-packed show. We have Survival Steve.
Aye.
And our ambassador of cheese from Wisconsin, Patrick, on the show. Evening, Patrick. And you was going to mention something about something happening in Wisconsin, wasn't you? We was talking off air.
Yeah, we're going over the radio at the moment.
Wow.
So
we're on FM or AM
FM,
or
FM. We're not committed to the station just yet, but the channel, but we're broadcasting live.
Wow.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. That really is. And so we're going out on Soapbox, Radio Soapbox, Holy Land Radio, on the internet and FM. Plus we're going out on YouTube and Facebook, and later on BitChute as well. So thank you, everybody. And we got a good lineup in chat this evening. We got Hatchy, who's the first one in, and he says, number 6, hello, everybody. And what are you, Steve? I think you're suspicious, Steve, aren't you, tonight?
Yeah. Suspicious
you're
Steve.
Suspicious Steve. And you're number 33 or 32 or 31. What number you want to be?
Let's go for 33.
He's number 33. I don't know what number I am. Number 9, I think. And we got, don't know who this geezer is. Never heard of him. Six Blade? Probably Steve. We got Paul, in Paul. We got Asperger's as far. Sorry, just gets me that one. And then we got Hive one for Marlene. Now, later on, coming up on the show, similar to tomorrow night's show, we've got 2 guests. We've got Nathan Allenby, and the bowler hat farmer is coming back. So he's coming on the show to tell us everything that's what's happening on the farm. Plus, tonight we have David talking about what happened with not Plessy, the other place. What happened in the Falklands, and what happened with that famous place that used to make radios that I can't remember the bleeding name of. So Marconi, that's it, Marconi. So he'll be on a little bit later, and Nathan Lucius is due on, but he's having a bit of trouble with his connection. He's actually staying in a secret location in Great Britain, a place that he said, do not tell anybody that he's actually in the Cotswolds at number 6. So anyway, it's Mark Anthony. Oh, evening all, Mark. And it's funny, Mark Anthony said, it's about time we got the bowler hat farmer back. And as he said that, I was actually in contact with the bowler hat farmer, but they'll be on tomorrow night. And as I say, so it's going to be David and Marconi a little bit later, and it's going to be Nathan Lucius should be on if he can connect up. So it's a really packed show. Well, tonight we're talking about the suspicion industry. And hello, Stephen Truthseeker. Hello. And I'm looking like, and I'm approaching the age of my granddad very rapidly, too rapidly for my liking. And I'm beginning to look like my granddad and sound like my granddad, because when I was young, people weren't so suspicious. In the 1980s and 90s, you go into a building society, open up an account, you just gave your name and address, and that was it. No simples, absolutely simple. You could open a bank account doing that, name and address. That's all they wanted. Now they want to know the ins and outs of a nag's arse, and everything is suspicion, 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 like the old Elvis tune.
Is that Elvis?
There was, I've worked with psychopaths, and I believe one married into my family. And this psychopath, the first thing he did was created suspicion amongst everybody. And now, Stephen Truthseeker said, why don't you ask Gareth I onto your show? you mentioned that the other week, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it on the show. It was, it was a lot of people. I'm going to give it a try. That's all I can do. I can try. And I will send to him. I don't know whether he does interviews on other people's shows, but I will definitely send to him if I've got a contact
What
number.
about David Icke?
It's a bit high profile. Well, I'll give it a try. That's all I can do. I mean, I didn't think that I'd get that doctor who's coming on. What's her name now? Dr. Mayhill on the show, but she's coming on. So, and she's very high profile. So, and we are high profile now. We've got Patrick, our cheese ambassador, and Suspicious Steve on now. What more could they want? I'll keep you updated. We did have another character who's taken over from what was his name now? Who died? Can't think of his name. And I sent to him, and he said, "Oh yes, he wants to come on." And I've heard nothing more. And I've sent him reminders, but I don't know. Now Marlene said, "Yes, that would be brilliant." Stephen Truther, he's just been on Catherine Edwards' channel, so that's very good. Yes. Aim big, mate. Yes. Well, I did ask Keir Starmer onto the show so we can question him, and he couldn't make it. So I'm going to have a dog turd on here to represent Keir Starmer. So coming up will be Keir Starmer, and it'll just be a pile of dog shit. So on a nice Scotty, I'll be standing there like, here we are. There's a pile of dog shit. Not real one.
Do you know what? On that, I think because Keir Starmer's treading on everybody in the UK, I think everybody should maybe step in dog's turd just as a sign of solidarity.
Solidarity with shit, yes. And oh dear, that's life, but not as we know it. It said, my dad once hit me over the head with his radio. It still hurts. It's a bad one. But I'm actually going to a help group. I better announce this. It's a little bit embarrassing. Do you think I ought to get it out first, Steve, and Patrick, get it off my chest? Steve has made me an addict, a catapult addict. I'm afraid he's got me into catapults, into a big. Guess who's going to buy one off of eBay?
You're a catapult junkie now, huh?
I'm a catapult junkie. I won't be killing soft, fluffy animals. I assure you, I won't do that. Yes, but it'll just be target practice and things like that, just in case the balloon goes up, and we might have to hunt.
Eric,
self-defense.
The balloon went up.
Yes, it went up
5 years ago.
Well, one thing, back to this suspicion industry. Has anybody else noticed this? Everything is suspicious. You're suspicious. Is this suspicious? That's suspicious. Why can't we be trusting? We want to live in a world that is trusting. You have to prove who you are. Why? Why do you? I mean, I'm in this body. Who I am, I don't know who I am. I just I'm inside this body. Whether I'm a spirit or not, I don't know. But, this is the thing. And it's all kind of having to prove who you are. Put this down, blah, 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 and all this type of thing. Now, Stephen Truthseeker said, yes, Chris, leave those soft, fluffy animals alone. Yes, leave those soft, fluffy animals. And Sue Sparkle says, don't hit yourself in the face, Eric. Well, you'll soon tell by next week. Hang on, I just had a ball bearing up my nose. No, they say you should wear, safety glasses when you do. But have you ever had something come back and hit you in the face? I don't know.
No, never.
No.
When I was a kid, because I was a little bit on the wild side, me and my brother used to have catapult fights. Whoa.
Bloody hell.
We used to ambush each other in the woods with catapults firing. It was usually pine cones, so it wasn't too It would still sting if you got hit with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want one in the eye, but
Do you get paintball guns over there?
Yeah.
Get some of those paintballs just for fun to see where you hit.
Oh, in a catapult.
In the catapult.
Yeah.
Get paintballs and just use those as your ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's my greatest ambition is to put whoopee cushions filled with gravy onto the seats of the House of Commons. That would be absolutely fantastic, wouldn't it? It's just like
Yeah, it'd be Guy Fawkes all over again.
Yeah.
The whoopee cushion plot.
Yes, whoopee cushion. But what we're going to say about the suspicion industry, because what's happening now is industry is pushing governments to be even more suspicious so they can make a big killing with what they produce. For example, Tony Blair's son is the head of an industry that will produce the digital IDs stuff. Interesting. And it's always money involved. They're making things so complicated and difficult now. They're going to make getting a driving license more difficult. Why? I don't believe in having a driving license. Why should you need a driving license for? If you can drive, you can drive. You can't drive, you can't drive. What bleeding hell do you need a license for?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. I mean, if you're crap, if you're a danger to yourself and everybody else, it's up to your community to say, look, don't bleed and drive. That's it. Full stop. That's it. It's not up to some, excuse my language, arsehole sitting behind a desk to decide. So that's it. And there we are. And by the way, behind my wall in my garden, people they've been putting up the flags all the way on the road. Yes, and isn't it strange? They're all the same. Those flags.
There's loads in the northeast.
Which flags?
They're Union Jacks and the fake English ones.
The fake English? You mean the St. George's Cross, as it's called?
Yes, and it should be a white dragon on a red background. That's the English flag, not the St. George's one, allegedly. And we got Paul says, "You've turned us all into suspicious individuals." Even at the stand in the park, when someone new turns up, the automatic suspicions raised. That is spot on.
I think the truth community is massively suspicious of a lot of things. And I mean, I'm not saying that's a disparaging remark, but it is. I mean, I think not just new faces. I mean, rightly so. I think people have been suspicious of me in the past because of my background. And I mean, I can't say I blame them.
Hence the name suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. One of the first things I'll say is don't trust a word I say. But use it as a basis to do your own research or background checks. And if my information is good, well, so be it.
Well, why you notice? You see, this is things with the psychopaths. They always set up suspicion. I've been in offices where everybody's as nice as pie to each other. Then suddenly a psychopath comes in and they set up suspicion. Oh, you've got to be suspicious of this, suspicious of that. And it's horrendous. It really is. Oh, by the way, someone likes your mug. A nice mug, Steve.
That's why I was holding up. Cheers. I think it was XO. Cheers, man.
And Conkers make good catapult ammo. Well, actually, they also make good washing liquid as well. So there we go.
Yeah. Conkers make good ammo, and I think police helmets make good target practice.
Allegedly.
Preferably not when they're wearing it, but...
Yes. You never know.
Do you remember? You want.
I shouldn't say this, but with the poll tax riots, and there's a hell of a hoo-ha going on. There's this police copper walking along with his helmet on. As I say, I'm not phased by these. And someone got a plank and went, bosh, his helmet off. I was off my seat with laughter. He was sort of 10 foot tall one moment and 3 foot tall the next. To sort of, And Marlene says, yes, Gareth Icke was on Catherine Edwards. Put her name into YouTube. Was a good interview. Yes. Yes.
He's been on a couple of good monologues recently where he's been talking himself, walking along with his camera. He's an interesting guy.
Now, Bar Stewards didn't give me a notification. Really? It might be because you're on YouTube and it's on Rumble tonight, with an audience that's more on YouTube than on Rumble. Now, Paul said about catapults. I used to use little bolts in a catapult. My late dad and I killed our street lamp across from the house.
Oh, and by the way, to any Americans listening, it's a slingshot that we're referring to.
Oh, it's a
catapult
slingshot.
with. Yeah.
Ah,
I remember when I was a wee lad, I had a catapult, a slingshot, and I was aiming for the couch, and I ended up hitting our bay window instead, which wasn't very cheap to replace.
Yes.
So you got to be careful.
You've got to be careful, and also it doesn't hit you in the eye. Because my cousin was actually, or say my late cousin, he had one eye. He was blinded as a child by a catapult.
Ooh,
And my that's right. And my uncle banned them in the area where he.
Oh
lived.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
remember
the
you
shot
saying
below.
last week.
Yeah, yes. And Stephen Truthseeker says police no longer wear hats. They're now stuffy or scruffy looking, I would say. Stuffy looking. Yes, I agree with you. They used to wear
Yeah.
these big sort of pointy hats, and they don't. I haven't. Do you know? I haven't seen a policeman wearing one of those for ages. Have you?
With
In
the
fact, you don't
Bobby-
see any police.
Bobby type hat,
Yeah,
the tall one. I've seen
Yeah.
them in videos of people at Speaker's Corner. They still dress up like that.
Ah. Now, Mark Anthony 72. Hello, Mark Anthony. It looks like everyone has abandoned Rumble in favour of YouTube on the Sundays for the Sunday show. It does look like that, doesn't it? What is it about YouTube? Now, Gareth Ike has done some good stuff recently at Hatchy, and yes, that's right. Now, back to what we were saying. It's suspicion. It gets worse and worse and worse. And as I was saying, in offices where I've worked, a lot of people come in, and a person that was as good as gold, really nice person, one day will be an absolute monster the next because they're worshipping the psychopath. And this has happened time and time again. I've noticed this happening loads of times, and it's I don't know what it is. It's something they kind of. I think they can hypnotize people. I really do believe that. When you look at, say, these dictators like Mao and Stalin, it wasn't them personally that did the people in. It was ordinary people like us that did the old bullet through the edge and things like that. And that's quite frightening. And I actually think that, as I'm going back to spoiled kid syndrome, I think there's a lot of people that are still children in the mind. Did you find that with the truth groups, Steve and Patrick, that there are a lot of childish?
Yeah, childish. I was going to say they're not, there's one thing to be childlike, it's another to be childish.
Yes, but I mean, also I think how people deal with mental illness, I think is another thing. I've said this before on shows. When I first started work, a chap had a nervous breakdown. He went out of his mind. And when I started work, majority of the people have been through World War II. They're getting on, they're close to retirement, but they were very mature. They'd seen lots of action and things like that. And they treated this chap who was going out of his mind with in an adult way, and they knew there was a problem, and he went away by ambulance, and a couple of, I can't remember how long it was, but sometime later he came back to the office and everybody said, "Oh, I hope you're well now." And everybody was nice to this character, even though he'd flipped. And the majority of people mature and adult. Later on in my career, similar happened to another chap. And again, people were okay. They knew that he's gone out, he's flipped, and there's something wrong with his mind, and it's an illness. And he went away, and in a short amount of time, he came back again, and everybody was polite and kind to this character. But you go to a truth group, and someone with a mental illness, they'll be like children in a school playground. And children in a school playground, you look at them, if there's somebody that's got a little slight, say, mental problem, they will be like bees in a beehive or wasps. They will go for that child because children can only see what's directly in front of them because they've got no experience of the world. So they will take what is in front of them. Whereas an adult will think, well, hang on, that person was okay. They're okay. There's something wrong with the mind temporarily, which needs to be put right. Whereas child mind doesn't think like that. They'll take it personally. They'll look at and they'll start talking between each other and things like that. I just wonder what your views are on this. Have you found this, Steve and Patrick, and generally in life?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, for me, I'm generalising. So if anyone's listening and they are members of the truth community, which I'd imagine everybody on your listening audience is, and probably goes to some sort of meetings or groups or members of some sort of local community groups in one way, shape, or form. I am generalising, but in general, there is a lot of cult-like behaviour in some of the truth circuits.
Yes.
And simply because a cult is kind of often recognised by having firm, staunch beliefs, challenging anyone who might challenge that belief or opinion. So it's almost like a hive mind mentality. It's often cult-like behaviour has often got some sort of charismatic type leader or presence as an authority figure in that group as well. And as I say, people with alternative opinions, even though we class ourselves as the truth community, therefore nothing should be off the table. If that opinion isn't quite what the various group believes or wishes to acknowledge, then this is a bit of a barrier into the truth community. So we do have to be on our guard for that, and we should, if we class ourselves as truthers, we shouldn't ignore any expression of opinion.
Yes, good point. That's life, but not as we know it. So, can you ask the American lad? How American?
Me?
I don't know. Who is the American lad? Because
That's
you're
me.
the ambassador, aren't you? You're the Fogham ambassador. Do you know the
right.
American lad?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
happening in Chicago in regards to the deportation of immigrants? Heard it's pretty bad.
I've heard only that the governor of Illinois is against it. So, but at the same time, I have a fairly low opinion of this governor. His brother is his sister, if you can believe that. He's one of those types.
Oh, a cross-dresser.
Cross-dresser.
He gets very angry if he puts two legs down one trouser leg.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is concerning what's the militarization of going around. So I'm ambivalent regarding it.
I'm probably less ambivalent because I would categorize the ICE teams, the immigration teams, the police or the military who are involved in that. Now, I'm obviously not from America, so I can only have a limited understanding based on what I see in here. But as far as I'm concerned, this is just an expression of fascism. It's an expression of total control and annihilation of human rights and dignity. I would categorize ICE teams. In fact, as you probably well know, I would categorize every single police and military unit, along with every other government, as international terrorists or terrorists. Governments are international terrorists, and anybody in police or military are actually aiding and abetting terrorism. So
I agree with you.
That would be the ICE teams as well.
Yeah, so I have a similar view on that. And at the same time, yeah, I also understand that Chicago is probably one of the more violent cities in the United States. Same with, say, New Orleans. I think New Orleans is even worse, where you have like murders every weekend, like 50 murders. It's crazy.
Is a large part of that attributed to, let's say, immigration in places like Chicago?
I'd say a lot of it's to do with poverty and purposeful neglect of people.
Yeah. Is it Chicago that's been kind of left to rack and ruin? to some degree.
Certain parts, South Chicago
Yeah.
is really, you don't want to go there, and you don't want to
Yeah.
stay there if you're going through it.
I mean, one thing I mean, as you probably know on my channel, the Occult Academy, I talk about causal factors, and one of the causal factors of almost every problem in society is immorality, and immorality due to the
You're
fact
right.
that people just don't know what their rights are,
You're right.
and we're not able to, even if we did, the oppression that we're under, duress, to put a more specific name on it, everybody's under duress. If they don't comply, they're going to be in trouble one way, shape, or form by the authorities, by the thugs of the policy enforcement agencies. So therefore, we can't follow our rights. Therefore, what happens as a result is we end up following the orders and permissions given by the authorities, and such
Tend
as
to be
government.
militia, military.
Yeah. And
I
let's
think
face it, government are immoral, so therefore society becomes immoral.
I think when you say the government, I call them the mob. Quite literally, they are the mob because there's no difference between them and the mafia.
Yeah.
In fact, the mafia are probably a bit better because at least they give something back to their communities. But the government don't give anything back. It's just apart from depression and stress and fear
They're
porn.
supposed to carry out God's law, and instead they're carrying out their own law.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whims
They
of
are.
the rich, the plutocrat type people,
Well-
the people with lots of, that print the money. Those
That's
sort.
right. Well, Stephen Truthseeker said, oh, by the way, when I bang on about truth movements, they're not all the same, okay? I've been to some that are very, very nice and they're not childish. It's only a few, okay? I just make that clear because people say, oh, a little shoddy shape, but I was generalising there. Now, has anyone seen the story about Keir Starmer, the Chinese spy story? No.
Is it real? I
Well-
hear a joke coming on.
Yes, but also, have you heard the one about Tony Blair and Mandy, and Epstein?
Mandy and Miranda.
Yes, interesting, isn't it? Yes, because apparently Peter Mandelson, did you hear he's a closet smoker? Did you hear about that?
No, what? Just normal cigarettes?
Yeah, apparently he often, when he goes back to his place, he's often seen with a fag. Sorry, for those of you in the United States, a fag is a slang term for a cigarette. I mean, hey, Brett, if you say, you don't go to. This has been the problem. You see, people used to go to a tobacconist and say, "Can I have 12 fags, please?" And like, so yeah, that's 12 fags. That's it. We call cigarettes fags over here. And the big problem, you go to America, you get off the airport, say, excuse me, you got 12, got a fag,
Isn't it the older English also a fag or
Yeah.
faggot? Isn't that a stick
It's an old
or
it's an
bundle of
older one.
twigs?
Yeah, it's an old one, the fag.
Mm.
But people still, the older generation often ask for it. They sort of talk about a fag. And faggots, well, they were a Victorian delicacy made from pork, I believe. Faggots. But they mean something. But now a conspiracy theorist, Therista, says immigrants or illegal aliens. Bloody hell!
Immigrants or illegal aliens? Well, it depends.
Hmm.
Did they come here legally?
Yes.
I guess that's the
Who
question.
knows?
'Cause some people are immigrants or migrants, real migrants. I don't know.
That's right.
If we're looking deeper, really, immigration or illegal immigrants are coming across legally. Well, according to who? According to Man's Law, which is espoused by the government. Really, there should be absolutely no boundaries to anybody expressing the right to travel, and that is a fundamental human right, is the right to travel. Really, we've become manipulated and coerced over many years to accept things like passports and border control and all of these things. I mean, one thing for sure is a lot of the, let's just say, the deluge of immigration in the UK is entirely driven. Make it happen on purpose. Let it happen on purpose. There is government interventions or inaction in some respects in the UK immigration in order to formulate a destabilized nation, to create a division and tension that helps them drive their policies. So this is one thing that all truth communities, if they're not aware of it already, they should at least come to that conclusion by understanding the way the political system works is to generate order out of chaos by actions such as, can you say the Kalergi Plan? Is that a
Why not?
banned word? I don't know if that's a banned.
No, it's not banned.
I don't know.
Not on YouTube. People
Yeah,
No,
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
I'd imagine most truthers have heard of that. If not, it's well worth looking into to see why we've got some of the associated problems with immigration in the UK. But let's just say for the fact that many of the people coming across from various places have come from war-torn countries that places like Britain and the US have deliberately screwed up over many years of militarism.
Gaza is a typical example. And they want to make Tony Blair, was it leader or something? But by the way, Brains faggots in a West Country source are still available in the frozen section of the supermarkets. So what would happen, Patrick, if I went to America and I walked into supermarkets? Excuse me, do you sell faggots? I mean,
They'd look at you with a puzzled look. You're not from around these parts, kind of look.
Now, we got Stephen Truthseeker. Anyone see the story about weapons found in a migrant camp in France?
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know if there's any validity to that. I was wondering if this is just well, guess what? Somewhere in the distant future, there will be some sort of, let's just say, a false flag type scenario where, I can't see that, where some individuals might run amok with something they've managed to acquire from somewhere, probably MI6. But
yeah, we don't know. And apparently, we mustn't mention the K plan. Oh, I don't know what he means on that. It sets off alarms at YouTube channel.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Don't mention it. And oh, hang on, what's happened here? I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. Now we got there. We got here. Hang on, come on, work your sod. That's it. I say it is all illegal. Anything the government have implemented is illegal because the government, for many, many decades, are at the very least criminals. They are traitors. Absolutely spot right on.
I mean, I would elaborate on that and saying that they are still war criminals, treasonous, all the heinous, serious crimes that can be committed. They are still at large from, and this is why. I mean, I make a big point of it really on my channel, saying that what we need to do is get to the roots of the problem, which is understanding morality. Because if we have a very good understanding of morality, and trust me, it's not complicated. It just means we'll have to get our minds in the right understanding that the government, certainly the UK government, in fact, I'd generalize and just say every single government in the world, but let's just say that all the Western governments are guilty of serious crimes, that there is no recovery from this. These are broken, but we have to realize that these are purveyors of evil because they've done the most immoral acts, and I don't need to elaborate on what they are in case
they're unnatural.
It
goes against nature.
It goes against nature, it goes against humanity, it goes against human rights, it goes against loads of things. But what we're not doing is we're not really saying for what it is. We are still in some way, shape or form, and again, I'm generalizing here, even truth movements are wondering who we can replace to be the next leader, but the next leader of an establishment that is committed heinous crimes. That means we don't understand and put value on the crimes that have been conducted. So therefore, we don't understand morality in our minds in sufficient detail. So we really need to get a grip on that, and that needs to start with the truth movement. To be fair, before we're going to ever expect, the sleepy people to appreciate the problem that's being presented to the world.
Well, Haji Haji says every prime minister from at least Ted Heath has committed treason now. It's full blatant. This is why I say every anyone that's been in government since 1973 onwards needs to be stand trial for treason, which is a very serious offence. And I think that I think there'd have to be a transition, though, Steve, because we couldn't do it overnight to this
I know what you mean.
that we've got. And I think that the first thing I ask any politician, and I don't really meet politicians on a regular basis, in fact, I don't see politicians at all, is one question. What are you going to do about abolishing usury? Hey? What are you going to do about it? And they'll be off like a greyhound with a rocket up its arse.
Yeah.
How do you make a politician do a disappearing act? Ask them about usury. They'll be off.
Most of them won't even be able to define what usury is.
Yes.
Let alone talk about it, because what is it? It's charging interest on a loan.
Yes.
At its basic core, and you're not sharing any risk as someone loaning money to somebody. So what do you have to expect for some sort of profit in return?
It's making money out of money, isn't it?
It just boggles most people's minds because they don't think in terms of logic like that. And arithmetic makes people run because they don't practice it. It's just difficult to think about.
Well, Nigel Farage and the new Tory party, I'm going to wet myself. Yeah. And the amount of people that worship these people and they don't realise they're just actors. That's what they are. They're actors.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, he's just another international terrorist awaiting an appointment, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how cheesy and pleasant he might appear to be. And this is why I say we need to really understand morality deep down, because if we don't, we're just going to vote in some other international terrorist to conduct the same international terrorism upon the same enslaved population. And that will continue forevermore until we really do get an education in the causal problems of everything in society, which is morality.
Yes, I agree with you. DJ B2 said Heath was compromised due to his appetite for small boys and yachting. Yes.
Yeah, he's on the something called the Reins list, along with several other 100 politicians.
Yes.
And really, this is why I say morality. Why is the human race, why is the population of the UK voting for people, even though they're on a list which kind of either alleges or demonstrates that they are prolific paedophiles? I mean, is this just do we just excuse this? Is this just what can you do? Well, you need to do something, and it's called rightful action.
Well, that's right. How did Jimmy Savile get away with it for so many years?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it logically. He might have got away with it once. He might have got away with it twice. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. No. He must have had protection from high level.
Yeah.
And I think I know where that high level came from. The Royals.
Yeah. Well, not just the Royals, but the police force. I mean, it's well documented his relationship and Ted Heath with the police. I'm not making any slanderous allegations here. It's well documented that these people were protected by the agencies that we give our slavery money to, our tax.
Yeah.
I don't give any tax because I don't believe in slavery. But
who pays them? That's the question. Is it it's the Bank of England? It's the Federal Reserve Bank, the private bank.
You're right. You've heard about Trump, haven't you? Compromised because he was apparently in massive debt. It's actually on Telegram channel. He was in massive debt, and his storyline is almost identical to Churchill's. Churchill was in massive debt, and as I said on the previous show, he was an art forger between the wars, Churchill, and
an art forger.
An art forger, yes.
Meaning like masterpiece artwork type.
Well, no, what he did, he went under a pseudonym And just one moment, I've made a note of this in my diary, which I can't find at the moment, which I will find in a few moments' time. But Churchill did his artwork under a pseudonym. Where the hell is it? And if you listen to, here it is, Charles Marin. Okay, he signed his artwork in the 20s and 30s. And then and Charles Marin apparently was a real artist. And then he sold the artwork in galleries just outside Paris, so that people thought they had a genuine Charles Marin and paid extra money for it.
He done well out of it, didn't he? Live in Blenheim Palace.
Oh,
That's
yes.
bizarre. Because
But
isn't
also,
that what Adolf Hitler was, an artist
he was an
in
artist,
Austria?
yes.
Yeah.
I've actually
So
got his pictures, and they're quite good, actually. He's quite a good artist.
it's
Unlike
funny that
Churchill's.
they all end up in that sort of milieu of the art industry.
That's right.
You're saying Churchill was doing that. That
Yes,
means
that's
he was
right.
in that whole circle of people.
Well, he was in so much debt. But what happened is someone who represented the City of London, whose name escapes me at the moment, and I'm sure somebody in chat will come up with a name, bailed him out because he was in debt to the sum of £19,500, and he's due to lose Chartwell, which doesn't sound a lot of money today, but it was a heck of a lot of money in those days because he was just a prolific gambler. And
Wasn't
he was
it a Rothschild?
Yes, it was an agent of the Rothschild, and it's the same as an agent of the Rothschild has bailed Trump out, but they become bought. So you do what we tell you, Mr. Trump, or else, and this is the problem all the way through. It's these politicians are all bought, all of them, and this is what. And I wonder who's bought Blair. Was he an evil? Now, good old Nigel, this is Hachi, smokes a cigarette and enjoys a pint of beer like Harold Wilson smoked a pipe and went on holiday to the Isles of Scilly. Oh, Mary. That was his Mrs. God help us. Yes, Mary was, Mary, what was his name? Harold Wilson, yeah, Mary Wilson. Yes, it's a famous picture of her looking out the window when they became... he became prime minister, minister. Yes, but now this is interesting. What is it? Criminals investigate theirself. That's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so that's why the international terrorists masquerading as government. That's why none of them are behind bars, even though they're all treasonous war criminals. And beyond. That's why none of them are behind bars, and that's why there'll be none of them behind bars. Why? Because, well, they just write the laws to suit themselves, and if you don't like it, they'll write laws to imprison the ones who don't like it, which is what they're doing now. So it's either people grow in consciousness and start fighting back against an oppressive system that wants them destroyed and enslaved forever, or, well, face the consequences.
Continue on.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it reminds me of what's going on here with the FBI investigating Charlie Kirk's assassination, and then it takes podcasters to sit and come up with investigations because nobody's doing any sort of real investigation. They just come up with a story that you're supposed to believe and just trust us. Don't look into it. It was like 9/11. You just trust the story. Don't look in any harder, any more depth than what you've been given by the trusted news sources of Reuters and AP.
That's right. Oh, the Reuters. You notice all the newspapers get their news from Reuters. And who owns Reuters? Rothschild. And
Rothschild,
they bought. I think they bought Reuters after the Battle of Waterloo because they bankrupted
exchange. Because that's where they make their money, is off of the stock exchanges and the exchange of information. Like if you want to be a person that gets your stocks ticker, a split second before everybody else, so you can overtake the market, you pay Reuters to give you that access to the information before everybody else, and that's how they keep their money. That's how it's a racket, and it's casino, it's gambling.
right.
One thing I
apparently-
think the truth movement, I'd like to think everybody in the truth movement now is massively suspicious of everything on the news. I haven't watched it for literally, it's well over 10 years. I can't remember when.
Same here.
But even when I was serving in the army, I knew that the news was nothing but propaganda. I knew it.
You know where Reuters have their largest office is here in Minnesota. I think it's Edina.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, Thomson Reuters. And then not only that, they print all of the legal books and the dictionaries and everything.
Really? I
had
that.
a job working on for Wall Street type cases for a court reporting business, and most of our software was done by Thomson Reuters.
Bloody Nora, I didn't know that. Well, thanks for that. And Hadji says Churchill wore ladies' silky panties. Oh my God. Well, there's a book called was it England or Britain's Wild Dog, Mad Dog, or something like that.
Okay.
And
he was one of those two.
One of those two.
That's like J. Edgar Hoover, who ran the FBI for decades here.
Yeah,
was like that.
There's something weird, and apparently Churchill's school report said he was a buggerer. So,
Churchill was a Freemason, by the way. I'm sure he was a master.
Yes, he was. 33.
Yeah. He belonged to the BBC, the Boy Buggering Corporation.
Yes, Boy Buggering.
He was also in something called I think it was called the Order of Druids. So he was obviously well connected.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
so was the Queen.
Yeah, she was in that as well. But let's have a look at. I mean, he lived in Blenheim House. I mean, that means that's going to be worth like $1 trillion pounds or something. The Blenheim Palace. That's not just an ordinary bloke living in a place like that for a kickoff. He's well connected, and just as Mark Anthony said,
yes,
alluded to the police chiefs as high-level Freemasons. Well, that's what the police are. I mean, he makes an excellent point, but that's what the police are. That's why they wear black and white checkerboard colours around their helmets, and the whole livery is based on masonry.
There again, who pays the police? It's the same usurers at the top printing the money.
Well, if you want to go one stage below that or above that, depending on which way you look at it, it's the people who paid the usury scam. So if the people don't want usury, the people need to stop falling for immoral behaviour or paying for and funding international crime syndicates called government.
Yeah.
They need to stop supporting by paying for the criminals, the armed thugs, the gangsters in uniform who carry a little get out of jail free badge called the police. These people are the most immoral pieces of trash on earth. And
I would add to that the school teachers, the schoolmasters too, because they get paid out of the public coffers to falsely indoctrinate children into believing all of this stuff and to not knowing about usury, not knowing about all of the morality involved in natural law and God's law.
Talking about school children, now I went down to, there's an out-of-town supermarket about 40 minutes walk away from where I live. And it was quite a nice day, and I thought, I won't bother to go by a car. I'll walk down there. And as I was walking down there, the kids are coming out of school. And what I noticed, these kids have got, what they call it, things around their necks. And what those things are,
lanyards.
Lanyards, thanks, mate. Lanyards around with cards. I thought, hang on, what is this? Every one of them that's coming opposite ways me had these lanyards. And they had like a card with the lanyard around their neck. So what that card was for, so I suppose it's to
digital
they know
ID.
who's so I suppose they don't have to read out because when I was at school they used to read out the register. I don't know if it's the same for you.
I bet you these days they just go in and scan their card on a scanner, and then that's their attendance roll call.
I believe
I suppose it is.
Fingerprint machines when they're paying for the lunch. I've heard this, whether it's true or not, I don't know. So this could be speculation, but I'm pretty sure that's already rolled into UK schools.
Yeah, the brainwashing, the conditioning.
Yeah. So we've already accepted digital ID because that's what our kids are doing, and this is where the psychopaths who rule the world they're a million miles ahead of us. They've already got it figured out that if they can indoctrinate
Yeah.
kids with this concept, then they'll just walk and fit right into it when it does initiate.
Well, it was like COVID. When COVID came out, they were the school children were the guinea pigs of all of this, having to wear masks, having to get your vaccination papers in order to participate in sports or whatever in the class. However it was, you had some were more draconian than others, and you had the more unless you were belligerent and protesting it, you basically had to go along with it in order to participate. And
That's right.
It's all
And
crowd control to keep people on the reservation and not homeschool, which people should be doing.
that's what Mao did. He appealed to the children. But That's Life but Not As We Know It said, can you please ask Steve about Hitler and his occult connections? Yes, he's a member of the Thor Society, wasn't he? Great stuff as ever. Steve, over to you, mate, about Hitler and his occult. Because Churchill was, because apparently Stephen Truthseeker said that Churchill was a black magician.
Yeah, well, if he's in the Order of Druids, he'll know, and if he's a Freemason at a high level, he'll know loads of occult knowledge, just as all of them do. Just as the Nazis were massively into the dark occult and Satanism. And it's quite worrying, I find, because there's a load of people in the truth community who really think the sun shines out of Hitler's arse. I know there is controversy over certain things that happened during that period of time, and let's face it, history is blurred because it's never going to be entirely truthful. But this is really where we need to have a deep understanding of morality, because if anyone understands morality, you can never ever equate anyone in the Nazi Party, Hitler or anybody else, even down to the lowest level of soldier in the Nazi Party. You can't say any of these people were moral human beings. Why? Because morality demonstrates and proves that you can't violate a person's rights. And I'm not talking about the human rights written into acts of law. I'm talking about the rights given from the Creator. When we're born, we have rights. One of those rights is not to be murdered, not to be brutalized, not to be...
Life.
The right to life, essentially. Anything that violates your birthright is immoral by fact of the laws of creation. So you can't then be in charge of a whole country of people and then force them into war and then manipulate them by propaganda into committing heinous crimes. And some people will say, oh, but he didn't really gas 6 million people or whatever the figure is.
Right.
Well, how many people is morally acceptable in any form of genocide, democide, or any other acts of state-sponsored murder? And then there is actually official figures for this that people will go by, and it's something along the lines of 240,000. Oh, but it was only 240,000. All right, so that's acceptable, is it? 240,000 people have had their lives extinguished. Yeah.
One is one too many.
One person is
the war in general. The war in general was think of the millions of people that died because of the war, because they wouldn't come to terms. I
want to be a fly on the wall. That's right, but I want to be a fly on the wall with this. I mean, unfortunately, history books are written by the victors. Exactly. And I think it's like most things, pick and mix. What does I mean by pick and mix? I was talking to Nathan earlier about this, and I said, well, the jerry can was a genius idea, and it was designed in the Nazi period, and it was an absolute unbelievable. Does that make me a neo-Nazi if I say that it's a very good design? No, because it's pick and mix again. It saved many lives because petrol cans before the jerry can were crap, and lots of people got burnt to death with shitty cans of leak. So that was a marvelous step forward, and they're still using the jerry can today. They can't.
You know where they get them from?
Right.
Do you know where they get the jerry cans that they make today?
No, China.
Donbass.
Really? Good heavens! Something I learned that now.
Steel mills there.
I didn't realize that, but the thing is, that doesn't make me, because the Israeli army uses jerry cans. I mean, this is the
Everybody
thing.
uses them. They're good.
Everybody does. Does that make us all neo-Nazis because I've praised the jerry can? No, it's pick and mix. Hitler stopped usury in 1933. That's a good thing that he did. Tick. But then,
but that's
but we got tick and cross. Putting people into camps, cross. That's not nice.
If you were to put a dark occult slant onto some of the ideologies coming out of Nazi Germany, I mean, I've got volumes of books on some of this. I mean, just look at, if anyone does a little potted history on what time did Hitler allegedly shoot himself in the mouth. Have a guess, Eric or Patrick. What time do you think it was?
Would it be 6:30 or something like that?
It's not. It's a good guess, but it was actually 3:30. So what does that give us? The
369.
Well, it gives us 33, which is, if anyone understands the occult, especially Freemasonry, all right, that's a little nod to the 33rd degree Freemasonry. And I'm not saying that
the Zohar type stuff.
Yeah, but that's not proof positive of Masonic, involvement. But let's have a look at what date was Hitler's death announced. Do you remember that? I mean, I said, do you remember that?
May the 9th or 8th, 1945.
It was May the 1st. May the 1st. Yeah, May the 1st. May Day. Why is that? Because that's one of the most important days in the Satanic calendar. May the 1st, 5 and 1 as in Area 51. May the 1st is Beltane. What day did he commit suicide? He committed suicide allegedly at 3:30 p.m. by shooting himself in the mouth on a date known as Walpurgisnacht, the Saint Walpurgis, a very, very important date in the Germanic secret societies and occult traditions, which is why I am quite highly suspicious of that encounter. And if we were to relate that same sort of understanding with the modern time, was, well, when was Osama bin Laden's death announced?
And
was it May the 1st? Depending on which part of the time zone you're in, May the 1st. Why? Because it was a Beltane sacrifice, or whether it even happened or not is open to debate.
Hard to know. He was buried at sea.
Well, that's suspicious in itself.
Well, by the way, Truman Tree said, "Be careful, you might lose your live channel." Well, if tomorrow you don't find me on YouTube, I'll be on.
What I find odd is on YouTube, you can listen to Candace Owens all you want. So Candace
or you could listen to
quite a lot.
Holy Land Radio, Soapbox, loads of other platforms, and of course Facebook, or Ask About Facebook, as I call it. Now, what is Steve's channel called, please? Over to you,
Steve. Who's asking first?
Matilda.
Hiya, pal. It is. I've got two channels, both of them on Telegram. One of them is called The Occult Academy. Do you know what? I'll put a link in if that's all right. And the other one's called Survive the Apocalypse with Survival Steve. And really, I've got two channels to cover two angles. The first one, the Occult Academy, is about teaching something called natural law, which is what Patrick was alluding to earlier. The laws of God, the laws of creation, the laws of nature, which nothing can stop, nothing can override. No government on earth can put themselves above the laws of creation.
God-given laws.
Yeah, exactly. And if people understood it, again, there would be no such thing as government. And bearing in mind, the word government means mind control. So nobody's minds would be under control. Therefore, we wouldn't accept a condition called moral relativism. And again, I explain this in depth on the channel. And if society didn't adopt and embrace the ideology of moral relativism, they would be living in peaceful coexistence. The reason we haven't got peaceful coexistence, and don't get me wrong, I'm not an idealist saying that if you get rid of governments, everything will be rosy and we'll all be singing songs, and
true government comes from God. It doesn't come from the people themselves.
Yeah. But what we've done is we've allowed inauthentic authority to dictate and take ownerships of our lives. We don't own our own minds. And again, this is because we've been under mind control since the day we were born. We've literally been given away to the state by our own parents, unbeknown to them, again, because we've had generations and generations of cultural subversion and mind control, which has allowed us to adopt immorality as a standard ideological practice by practically everybody in the world. And this is why I say my channel is about teaching the occult, which aligns to morality, because if we understand morality, none of these problems would transpire, because we would automatically know right from wrong and would be able to apply right from wrong in our lives. So just to put a little bit of meat on the bones for that, if you don't mind, when we pay, and don't get me wrong, I'm not having a pop at anybody who pays tax. I was a taxpayer pretty much all my life until I understood morality in more depth. All tax is theft, all of it. The reason we pay tax is because we are under duress and mind control. Duress means that we feel forced to comply because there's consequences if we don't. So lots of our tax money goes onto immoral things, such as dropping bombs on women and children
in the name of morality too.
Yeah, exactly.
Tax money, and it's like we've given them alms, and somehow or another those alms aren't alms really in reality, but they think of it as such. Like, oh wow, look at, they gave, all these people gave us this, we must be moral people because they gave us alms to distribute.
Yeah. Exactly. So we accept, and this is what's known as moral relativism. We have lost all scope of what morality actually means because we think we're doing the right thing. But what we're doing is we're funding the wrong thing. We are funding terrorism. Governments are terrorists. Governments have been inculcated into serious crimes that are unforgivable, yet we still want to vote some other lunatic in to make the system of terrorism a little bit nicer. And what we're doing is, self-perpetuating our own enslavement. And one of the reasons for this is simply we do not understand natural law and we do not understand objective morality. When we do, the world will change. It won't change overnight, but it will change because people will come to the same conclusion I have, which is, oh, well, I was an immoral piece of trash doing a job for international terrorism, thinking I was doing the right thing because I was dumb. But then I woke up to it and had a little bit of a moral education and walked out of it a well-paid, lucrative career, which was pretty cool and had loads of great prospects. But I realized I was completely morally wrong. So I had to do something about it. This is where lawyers need to be. So all soldiers need to come to this understanding. And if there's 80,000 soldiers in the British Army, for example, and I am telling them differently, that doesn't mean I am wrong, because I am still morally correct, and 80,000 soldiers in the British Army are immorally incorrect. And I will, if I'm the only one speaking morality, well, something needs to change that dynamic. And that goes for the police as well. Every one of them is an immoral piece of trash, but they don't realise it yet.
Well, I think this is, we need to segue, because David, I think, is waiting to come online. He's he bounced into the studio and bounced out again.
He's waiting in the wings.
He's waiting. I can't see him on the screen though. Are you there, David? I can't see you there in the green room, but you might be. I don't know.
He's mute.
Is he?
Well,
I don't know.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, hang on. Hello. Right.
Oh. I can't see you in the green room. Where are you? Oh, you are. You are.
Now, am I green?
Yeah, you're okay. I tell you what I don't like is this me being in the big picture and you two being in the small pictures. That looks so conceited. I really hate it.
I
don't mind that.
Picture. You know.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't want to be a limelight seeker, so I'm happy. You're the host, and you're far funnier than me, so I'd rather it stay that way.
But see, it just looks. It's a bit like on Facebook. You know, you have to authorize things. I don't want to be in that position because I believe that the host should be in the smaller position, not in the higher position.
Well, shall I tell you what? Shall I tell you what, Eric? People do these days is what I'm about to do now, and that is they go, "Oh my God, look at me! What a podcaster! Look at the size of my huge microphone. It's so big, so I can't disguise it. It's going to come right in front of my mouth, a huge thing. But on top of that, I go, oh, I see. It's backfired. I was going to say, but also look at my bookshelf, most of which I've never read a single effing word of. And that is what happens these days. You got to have a big
Look at
microphone,
my mug.
and you got to have a bookcase, and you got to have a mug, that, especially one like Steve's with a good old Union Jack on. It's like, yeah, good old Union Jack. F you, right?
Look at my
Anyway.
bookcase. I mean, it's full of very interesting books, and I don't believe in plugging books on the show. It's just not worth it, is it? It's
Well, at least you're dedicated to one book. That's good.
Yes, that's it. Now tonight, on a serious subject, we'll be talking about Marconi Part 2. I hasten to add. Marconi and the Falkland Isles, the link there, or the Falkland Isles and Marconi, because the Falklands War, which was in 1972, something very weird, because I do remember in the news, I'm old enough to remember, yes, I am that age, lots of strange deaths surrounding Marconi. And to summarise, last time you was on, was it last week or the week before? I can't remember.
Last Sunday, Eric, last Sunday.
Last Sunday, we were talking about Marconi and the weird things that people, like garrotting themselves and not sort of just committing suicide by an overdose of tablets. Oh no, doing the most bizarre things that would be what I don't in any way wish to be rude to these people in death, but you would think would be from madness. It's most bizarre.
Yeah.
So, and what is this Brown Grue, this strange island? What is it now? The Sandwich? Was it Sandwich Islands?
No, but so I mean, and Steve, who I'm quite interested to ask a question to in a bit. So, the Falkland Islands. It's a confusing term because you've got the big island of with Port Stanley as had a whaling station near there, Port Stanley, which is the main sort of chunk, and that was a bit nearer to the and this is the whole argument. Port Stanley and the island, the main Falklands, were nearer to Europe and Britain, but then we also had a claim to these weird South Sandwich Islands, which I don't know whether this bit of history I've forgotten, but given I'm pretty sure the Germans must have named it Thule, unless we had. Well, I mean, what do you think, Eric? Unless we had people in Admiralty in 1914, which is when the Germans stood up to name Thule, which is a German name. So was that the British that were into German names at the time, Thule, or which is an esoteric sort of term, just as we have a Thule, depending on if you're British, Thule or Thule for German. Further up, we have a Thule up there and a Southern Thule down here. But what's weird then, we have these very split up places. And my point is that most of the media attention for this war was all on where Steve said he went. That was the main Port Stanley, big part of the Falklands, which most of our ships were around, and most of the battles took place. So that's where the main attention went on.
That's right. If I could come in there, please excuse me. I said the Sandwich Islands. I was 100% wrong. It was South Georgia. So please.
South Georgia, yeah.
South Georgia. It wasn't nothing to do with the Sandwich Islands. I'm sorry. Okay, carry on. Sorry, David.
I'm carrying on. But at the same time, Eric, I'm trying to just get you. I wish I could. I mean, let me send this to Patrick a minute. I mean, just see if Patrick can. Patrick, are you around?
I'm here.
All right. I'm going to just Let's just see if I can open share. Let's see if I can even get this done now because it's on a different blah blah blah. Eric and anyone else that's probably from Britain. I doubt if people at that time, even though tabloids were huge. I want to know, Eric, if you remember this newspaper front page. Right. All right. Let's try this. Right. Send by Telegram. Let's try that. Just bear with me 2 seconds. But yeah, scan with your mobile phone to send something. I mean, I just want to send something to Eric and Patrick. Right. Bear with me. I'll carry on chatting. Yeah. What was interesting?
We're going to chat, shall we, whilst you're sorting this out? Or would you?
Thank you. It'll take me like literally 30 seconds to a minute if I can just get this done. Yeah.
And now it says Alice Gorgeous says on tax, you do not go to prison for non-payment. It is for ignoring the court order. Also, it is unlawful to fund terrorism. If we can prove terrorism, then we don't pay legitimately. And Steve, do you think that you might be the reincarnation of Smedley Butler? Serious?
I don't know, but I would
Was a
recommend
racket.
everybody to War is a Racket. I would definitely recommend everybody read his book without a shadow of a doubt. I would also hats off to one other peace campaigner, let's call him, an SAS guy called Ben Griffin. Again, look him up. I don't know if he's active anymore doing peace talks and stuff, but he threw his medals outside Whitehall or Downing Street because he basically realised that war is a racket. It's all about militarism. And again, this is what governments are involved in. It's militarism. It's not defending the nation. No, it's proliferating at the expense of, let's just say, perhaps third world nations for resources or any other political aim, which is unsavory. But we are all paying for this. We are all voting for this. And this is why society at large needs to understand more about morality. Just answer a couple of points that have been mentioned about, do I pay tax? No, because I don't support slavery. So, yeah, no. And to the British government, no, I'll never, ever, ever pay a single penny to your enslavement and international terrorism. Sorry, you can pork it.
Well, actually, it's tax is voluntary. They don't. This is why very rich people pay a lot of money to legal people to tell the tax legal people what they already know, and that's it. You know.
Okay, right. So I've sent that image. So both on Telegram, both you and Patrick should have it. It's just a newspaper headline that as a 10-year-old kid had a huge impact on me because, of course, we were surrounded by, you'll know this, Eric, from, nuclear warship was going on. They're basically telling us we're going to be bombed. I mean, I missed the duck and cover, under your bloody, the stupid idea, laughable idea that you could not get, and again, let's just forget all this stuff about nukes aren't real. Let's just leave it for a minute. It might be true, but I can't be asked to go there in a way. When you get old, you sort of want some things that are like these theories work, and you don't want to the next thing that suddenly they just don't work. So anyway, you found, well done, good man, right? So there you go. So that's a bad copy of The Sun on the day that we sailed down to the Falklands, but it came out of nowhere. Thatcher was so happy, she was so gung ho. Right, and in some ways I agree with her, in some ways I don't. So can we scroll that up a bit? Was that just me? Gotcha.
I'm not sure. I don't think we can, mate. Can we?
All right. Well, I wish it was smaller. I don't.
So I was going to say, Patrick. Sorry, Patrick. What you're saying? How can we?
If you notice at the top of the screen, you have different selections of like background, auto, solo.
Yeah.
Maybe if you did solo or presentation.
No, it's just got me.
I just tried it. It won't let me do anything.
Duo.
Presentation, perhaps.
Yeah, presentation. Yeah, I've got presentation on here, but
okay,
it's not doing it.
And you're all on.
Not sure how we can do that.
It's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, I was more making the point that as a child, age 10 or 11, and of course, we've not had a war since 19. We were involved in Vietnam, Korea, everything else. So Panama, all the stuff the Americans were sneakily involved in. Actually, post 60s, most of which were drug wars. And actually, I'll just say this. What's going on in Venezuela at the moment is a drug war. Honestly, this is my after this other area of UFOs, contact, and other various other things. Geopolitically, then for years I've seen, well, how come? Because it's the biggest funder of all the stuff of these dodgy black corporations and a lot of the things to do with assassinating people. It's the big budget for that is drug money. Drug money will make you more than the global oil and the global arms trade. I guarantee you, and this is research done recently from people like Dr. Peter Dale Scott, who's long been into this sort of stuff. So in Venezuela at the moment, what's happened, in my view, is that whoever's just come in at the moment, who's a new, I don't know if he was left or right, it doesn't really matter, but I think he's clamped down on the shipment, because in that area, it's not opium or poppies, it's cocaine leaf. And so Venezuela was the way out to ship all that stuff. And so that's why and even they've even duped Trump. He's like, yeah, we're there over, what did he say? We're there over oil, or God knows, but actually, absolute bullshit, right? Venezuela, they're there for that issue to do with narco trafficking, which is a government led thing, and some of this links in a little bit to this, but this was a more innocent era to do with this. So I was just interested, Eric, if you remember any headlines like that, because it was all very.
I remember that headline as clear as day, as if it happened
Exactly.
yesterday. I remember it.
Yeah, and do you know why? Because
It disgusts me now.
yeah. Well, but as imagine me and you. I mean, you. Mate, I don't know if you're older or younger than me, but as kids, certainly when I saw that in the newsstands, and especially because if you're a slightly sensitive individual as a child, and stuff, then you already had, like, what was it, Wind in the Willows, where that couple did that cartoon where they ended up dead in the bloody in their own house. Not Wind in the Willows. God, what's it called? Raymond, someone did it. Anyway, it's the two people, and that was a cartoon. Then they had Threads, right, in 1983, was it? Or before that, Threads, and
When the Wind Blows, that was another one.
When the Wind Blows, you got it. That's the one that I was on about, with the two fantastic, Raymond Williams was a guy, yeah, the two fantastic people that were so naive that they literally thought they could make a nuclear shelter in their house, and they just died. And I mean, imagine that these days, that you give primary school or early middle school children this whole thing to do with an elderly couple that were like, come on, dear, let's make our nuclear shelter. It's hardcore stuff, right? So people of my age were already imprinted and traumatized, I believe, which they never allow to happen these days. They're so handled with kid gloves, they're so surrounding cotton wool. But in our day, then it was like, yeah, look at this old couple in Wind in the, whatever you called it, I've forgotten. What's the title? Eric, tell me again.
When the Wind Blows.
When the Wind Blows. Okay, yeah, Raymond Williams. If you haven't seen it, the most poignant, sad, but also genius early animation of the 1980s going. And so, of course, from that, and also being shown that, for God's sake, in your primary school television. We had a television area in those days.
The television area. Frightening.
Yeah,
when I was at college, we saw the film The War Game. Have you ever seen that,
right.
Steve?
Yep.
Have you seen The War Game? Because that scared me, excuse my language, shit this. Well, we saw that. Why they showed architectural students that, I do not know, but we saw it. And I don't. Have you seen it, Steve, The War Game?
It doesn't ring a bell, in fact.
It was actually filmed in 1965, and it was banned. And it was banned until the 1980s or 1990s, I think it was.
Why was it banned?
Well, it was very graphic, and your guess is about as good as mine. But I think it was too open about what would happen in a nuclear attack, and they could only show it at universities and colleges, and that's how I got to see it. And we all had to sign that we were over 18 before we could actually see the War Game. And it's just like a documentary, and it was filmed in Gravesend in Kent.
Right.
You see people all burn and all this, and it's in black and white, which makes it even more sort of yucky. And it was incredibly clever filming. Like, for example, there's a car going along, and the camera's inside the car as if they're a camera crew. The bloke comes out and he throws up all over the car, and he's dying of this radiation poisoning and things like that. And they showed it in the morning, and it was at a time when the Cold War was at its height, and most of us came out from watching that looking a little bit white. Now, if you saw it now, it'd look a bit tame. You think, oh dear,
absolutely.
But you be in that situation of the Cold War, when you think you're going to get blown to smithereens at any moment, and you see that film, that is quite something. And but you can actually see it. I think you can see it on YouTube now. I'm not sure. I think you can see it.
Eric, I actually posted it about a month ago to Paul English's group, because I found a version where I think they did a bit of discussion before on it, but then they went through and showed most of it. But I mean, it's just astonishing, because they used real life there was no actors brought in. They used real life people in
extras. There's extras, wasn't it, from Gravesend in Kent?
Yeah.
And it was, well, let's put it this way: when we went to lunch, most of us couldn't really face our lunch. But now you look at it and you think, oh, what were they worried about? But you've got to be in that situation of being very young, very inexperienced of life,
Yeah.
believing
Well,
what the BBC News tells you, and being told that you're going to get griddled alive any second because they're going to press the button any moment.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Red Alert?
No, I
is that
haven't
about?
seen one.
Yeah, I think so. I have. Yeah.
It was around the same time. It was supposedly the book that it's based on was what Dr. Strangelove was going to be, but then they brought in I forget the guy's name that worked with Kubrick on that, who ended up going to Saturday Night Live. They made it a comedy instead and became Dr. Strangelove, and it was all about that the Ruskies firing off a nuclear bomb and then the reaction to it, and then
Yeah. A chance to have a go at communism, no doubt, which is okay, but it was, communism was not the main thing to do with nuclear bombs, and nuclear war was just insane. However you looked at it, it wasn't just about communism versus the West. It was, it was an insane drive that I believe the human species
No, it's
had
mad.
to annihilate itself.
Mutually assured destruction. That's what
Terry
mad is.
Southern.
yeah.
Thinking of the writer.
And again, how come MAD came out? Is that a chance? Did some military people have a laugh, and which they do often, and invent these sort of terms? Like one of the terms we're going to go into with the Falklands in a minute, or it's mutually assured destruction. And some of these wacky, absolute insane generals and politicians, they like they do today, they rub their hands at the idea that I've got mutually assured, and again, some of them think, well, we're privileged, we've got a deep underground base, and that's how far they think they're going to escape, whether it's nuclear war, and now we've got other things on top. So gotcha, this whole arrogance to do with the fact that we're gonna go down and deal with the Falklands War, and actually it was a far harder battle than Thatcher thought, and it got far more heavy, even at a nuclear level, which I can go into maybe not this time, another time, but it got far more heavy even at a nuclear level, where she threatened to nuke.
Was she your first female prime minister?
Yes,
she was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
that's something.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Well, I was going to say, when she first came in, I was going out with a girl, and her father said she won't last a month. And look how long she lasted. I never forgot that.
Yeah.
44 days.
Sorry?
44 days, Liz Truss. And when she came out, I think it was 12:30. So, or it was something like it was another 33. I think it might have been 10:33 in the morning or something. But it was 44 days because that relates to it's another massively significant occult number, and it does relate in part to something called the rule of the Phoenix, the law of the Phoenix, or something. It's an Aleister Crowley ritual, and Crowley goes kind of hand in hand with Thule, which has been mentioned.
Was Theresa May your second prime minister that was a female, or was there another one?
Yes.
After?
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right there. Yeah, you're right.
Theresa May, but the first one was Margaret Thatcher. She's the first female. And everybody thought, the majority of people thought, like my girlfriend's father, that she was just there like a kind of to get her into power, being so unique, and then she'd be booted out. But no, she wasn't.
No, and I know, Eric, and also, because she wasn't she was conservative. She wasn't from the hoi polloi sort of, she was like upper middle class, but also working class, because her father owned a grocer's, and Dennis, to be honest, Dennis was a dimwit. Dennis, we just followed around, and but a very basic. They're from Lancashire. Was it Lancashire? I can't remember. Anyway, family.
No, she came from Lincolnshire, and it was
Lincoln,
a place in Lincolnshire, which is one of the most boring, drab places you could wish to go to.
Well, that's Norfolk, and that's the Norfolk Broads generally is so boring, honestly. Right, I've lived there for 2 years. My God. Anyway,
most Americans only know the Meryl Streep movie that was made about her. You remember that?
Don't know.
Did you see that?
No.
Yes, I didn't see it, but I knew of it. And Meryl Streep, although I can't stand her as a person, she is a very good actress. Even though I disagree with her, but she's one of these woke types, I believe. But she could do an English accent, which is perfect. And so was the bloke who acted the part of Dennis Thatcher. What was his name now? He was he was very good at. He's both very good actors, actresses. You know. Now,
I remember seeing that in the theater when that came out. It wasn't all that long
Really?
ago, maybe like 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
That's right. Yes. But
It went a little bit into the Falkland situation, but not much. So, like, most Americans wouldn't really know much about the whole Falkland War and what that was about
Yeah.
with Argentina.
well,
Yeah.
he wasn't really he wasn't really involved, was he? Really, that's the thing. It's a bit like Vietnam. Britain officially was not involved, but we were. We sent special forces there. So
Yeah.
so officially we weren't involved, but that's the thing. I think in Hanoi, I think there was a British embassy there throughout the Vietnam War, because again we weren't involved in it. I mean, how did Jane Fonda get there?
With a
Well,
workout.
it's kind of like the Russians and the Japanese when Hiroshima happened. They really weren't involved because they had signed a non-aggression treaty with Japan just as the war was starting.
Mm.
So the Russians weren't really involved, but the Americans more or less did the dirty work for the Russians in taking over
Yeah.
Japan.
Well, there's another reason. They reckon that Russia was knocking the Japanese forces way back, and that's it's been proven that it wasn't an atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but it was to hasten in. But the trouble is, Japan wanted peace. They were making movements for peace. That's what people don't realise.
They wouldn't let them surrender.
They wouldn't let. That's right. Yes. And yes, that's right.
So David.
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you sent me some things. What is it that you want to play?
All right. Can I just say this though, because Patrick, you mentioned the American sort of part of it. What's weird to me is when it comes to, I mean, forget whether you believe my tale, which is backed up, but by a fair bit of evidence and data done with other people, whether there was something in the Falklands, north of Antarctica, a very high tech system substance that's been there for years, and there's lots more about that. So when you have something like this that is from a foreign, again, foreign, is that another country, or is it from some other weird group, or whatever? What's interesting is that from the 1960s, 70s onwards, the Americans gave themselves the right in any country. This is why the Americans got bases all over the world, right? In any country where there was a hint of some quote foreign technology, they would usually hear about it first, because along with the British, I mean, the British and the Americans have the most widespread advanced communication link for the whole globe, way ahead of everyone else, way ahead. And so whenever they heard about something, the Americans would always fly in and grab this quote foreign technology, whatever it was. They go and take it, and they'd be out there with their special forces before even the domestic country knew about it. And we know about this. Look into Panama. Got this down in that area. There's also another couple of countries, but where the Americans zoomed in, took this, whether it's from academic institutes who'd found something, or just an individual or whatever, then they flew in and they just take it. But what's interesting, if what I think was going on with the Falklands and Britain, the Americans did nothing. They let Britain deal with this, with Argentina, with South Africa, again, Commonwealth, New Zealand, Australia, Commonwealth, which I can go into. I mean, the Commonwealth aspect is actually really interesting, because America, you think America's very dominant, but they left Britain they left them alone to deal with the taking of this substance and processing it to a huge degree. But towards the end with Argentina, they did, and these were high up people like Alexander Haig, and God, who's the Bush's other mate? That God, the other guy with white hair, but Caspar Weinberg.
I can't remember.
Yeah, there's this guy with white hair that's about, these, and actually looking back, as much as you make. Caspar Weinberger, Haig, there was another guy that was the main thing that I've just forgotten the name of. But
so
interesting.
Can we summarise? Can we summarise to keep people in? So there's the Falklands War. Yeah. There's Marconi, that was scientists and researchers were committing suicide in the most weirdest way. Yeah. Number two, and they found this black goo in South Georgia. Am I
No,
right there?
no, do you know what? And again, I'm never one of these. On the internet with all these areas, you find people going, "Yeah, this is what happened. This is the area, and this is what it was." I don't know that. I've just done a lot more. And again, unlike me, most of these people that look into these areas, they haven't been down to Kew Gardens and sat there for weeks on end, spending hundreds of pounds getting documents and then doing various other things to try and balance it out over a period of 10 or 12 years. So a lot of people on the internet these days with all these bloody podcasts are just going, this is what happened. Our super soldiers went out to Mars and came back with whatever, and that's
No, I
their
know what you
claim.
mean.
Well, yeah. Well,
If I could cut in, David,
Say
Stephen
again.
Truthseeker said something rather. If I could cut in there, and I hope you don't think I'm rude. Stephen Truthseeker said, David, do you think these victims have been sent, or had been sent rather, mind control technology to kill themselves?
Right now, you see, Eric, when we first turned up the last week, you by accident you popped up a little photo that I'd sent you, and you've still got it again. And Patrick may have it now. I don't want to say mind control. I call it remote neural monitoring, and it's way ahead of mine. It's way, actually, the other thing that we spotted, Eric, at the start, and this is what we can go into if you wish. You hit a picture where I said, right, this is the bull. It's a famous thing within psychology and electronics and in the army and military that this guy called Jose Delgado in Spain managed to get a bull was going to charge at someone, and he managed to then press some buttons with wires to the bull's brain, and the bull just stopped at a moment's notice. That was the start of what we now have, the MK Ultra going on era. But what's happened by the era of the Marconi thing is my theory is it's gone rogue. In other words, it's leaked out of the sort of scientific, academic, military basket area, and people who are then using it, which includes Britain, I believe, then use it, and they don't know how to use it, or the technology itself, which is now mostly AI driven, went a little bit strange, and so So yeah, Stephen Truthseeker, who I've said, Stephen, can you get in touch with me? Because you mentioned David Icke on the last show. You mentioned you said David Icke said one of these Marconi workers went back to their wife, and bingo, you've got it. Bingo. One of these Marconi workers went back to his wife, and when the police turned up after his death, which probably was a few days or a week later, his wife said, in the last few days, I just didn't recognize him, a totally different person. Well, that can't happen. There's if you either kill someone and injure them, and then they're sort of dead or injured. But if someone's still up and walking, it's a mental psychic thing. Yeah. But you need to go into, so now you've got the BT Cellnet thing, which, let me just read this out. So yeah, I'll summarize so last Sunday, all we did, or all I tried to do as an intro, again, it's a complex area, but once you learn the components, Falklands, what happened with Marconi, this weird bit about all the deaths, and a few other sort of outlying things to do with South African intelligence and other stuff, then when you gradually learn these components, it becomes a fascinating area that's easy to understand. And then when you put it together at the end, which is what I've done in the last few years with, so you got the BT Cellnet. Let me just read. Okay, so do you remember last time? I don't know if you do. I said, my God, I used to see BT vans with this thing on the BT vans, which had this like the Swiss horn. People, these goat herders used to use these big.
Yes,
one of those big,
I remember that.
So,
Yes, Pan, wasn't it? It's supposed to be Pan.
Yeah, but the thing is, they had a series of vans. I didn't invent it. They had a series of vans, and underneath it would say Project Soulcatcher. These were vans going around in that era. Try and find one now. I tried for the last 10 years, but my point is, then you find out a few years later when you dig that there was something called BT Project Soulcatcher. Let me just read out. So let me just read out what they eventually could do with Project Soulcatcher. So we're skipping around a bit here, but I hope after last week you've got a vague idea of where we're going. That yes, okay. So as Eric says, the summary: the Falklands War happened, which I believe was for a different, or for dual reasons, but also for a slightly different. That I believe Argentina and Britain had this dispute over this area because in that region there was this deposited technology that had been there, and apparently certain people had been trying to de-engineer, and we have this from a Marconi engineer, right? De-engineer this quote technology from World War I era. That's how long it'd been been down there, and in which case it makes sense. So why did the Germans go? Why are the Germans so interested in going to this area? I think that the upper echelons of governments in the First World War and then the lead up to all the way then to the Falklands knew about this quote advanced material and we're down there trying to grab it. And we can go into then the Gulf oil spill with the use of Corexit. I don't know if you know about that. There was this big BP oil spill and they said, oh, we've got to spray it with this substance. Never heard of before. And that was because the substance may not have been quite what it was. But anyway, let's get let me find this. I'll read out the quote from, if I could, BT logo. Let's see if I've got it. Oh, Soulcatcher PNG. So I'm going a bit blind here. Let's see if I've got that. Okay. So just on the British, and again, do you remember what I said last time? I said, right, so British Telecom used to be the GPO, the General Post Office, right? So we, in the 70s, as kids, we used to walk around and you see drains with GPO on, General Post Office, right? Which meant that they were dealing with telephone wires, and all these other sort of things. That then became British Telecom, a privatized company, which if you're around in that era and had some money, you could make a mint on their shares, like everything else that Thatcher at the time and sold off. But then, of course, as all private companies do, when they're, they suddenly have a bit of private money and what else, they get bored, and all these people, these top managers, are like, what can we do now? I'll tell you what, let's look into hacking people's minds and see what we can do. So here we go. So there's an image there called soulcatcher1.png. I don't know if you can find that. Doesn't matter. You can leave the one up you have. But listen to this. But I mean, listen to this for a quote. So actually, this is for a conference talk I did. I put so they use electrodes and RFID chip or neural chips as transmitters. That's now an old area. No longer do you need RFID. It's the sort of thing they used to put in cattle about 20 years ago. So if cows went off the reservation, they could then find them, right? So that's old now. The same as even what Elon Musk is doing is totally old hat, unless you want to open a door on the way to the office, which is what they're using it for, or you can or get the coffee machine on in the morning. You think about it, it's like, what a big deal. I'd rather just reach out and put the coffee machine on myself than have my brain, do it automatically. But so that sort of stuff is going on. We are so leagues ahead of that. We are so leagues ahead. And if you see the black guy that you just put the picture of, and I lived I encountered him in Nottingham. And then he went on to kill 3 or 4 people near Nottingham University, right? And you can look this up. And the guy also went to MI5 and said, please switch off these voices and instructions in my head. So can you imagine in London, turning up to the MI5 building? Is a dominating, big, huge building on a huge main road in the middle of London. He turned up and said, turn these voices off. So Steve Truth Seeker is right. There's something going on there, but I can go into that a bit more. That's like the ending point that I've done. I could go into that in a bit more later. But let's go back to the mid 90s, way earlier than this guy that we just put the picture of. Right. Okay. So the head of it. Said that the British Telecom, i.e. General Post Office Soulcatcher. I mean, again, I said, what a name. Imagine giving that name to its project and then not being embarrassed about putting it on the side of vans in England and also other products, and then announcing it, because they thought this was all part of science. Well, no, it's a screwed up part of science that's intrusive and takes away people's personal liberties, right? So here we go. So here's a quote from the head of, I haven't got his name. Oh no, Dr. Chris Winter, it says there. I can't see what you've got up. I've got on my own screen, Eric. I can't see it at the moment. I'm not rich enough to have 2 screens going. Right. So the head of BT Labs for Soul, Gathering or whatever they call it, Dr. Chris Winter said, get this. So, and this is in 1992 or 1996, right? I mean, years ago now. What was it? Yeah, 2 decades ago. Police would be able to use it to relive an attack, rape, interesting term, or murder from the victim's point of view. Sorry, from the victim's viewpoint. It would also help to catch the criminal, right? I could even, this is the scientist speaking from BT, I could even play back the smells, sounds, and sights of my holidays to friends, right? So a bit disjointed as a quote there, probably not the best, but I think he may have been asked something and he was in a panic by a journalist. I'd love to find the clip, and I've looked for it and I can't find it. But imagine saying that, especially the word rape, where the police would be able to use it to relive an attack, rape, or murder from the victim's point of view. How powerful is that? You're basically talking on a computer screen or in someone else's conscious mind that you can relive what's happened. If you've got this technology, you can relive that. So that's how advanced this thing was in 1996 in Britain. My point is, what happened this little bit earlier when we all know that most technologies, high tech stuff, are so hidden away for usually for like 2 or 3 decades, and when they come out 2 or 3 decades for us, sorry, then the military governments, high corporate layers are actually 2 or 3 decades ahead of stuff, right? So what he was reading then from British Telecom, which is essentially the General Post Office, meant to be a nationalised sort of company for that, he was then okay to mention the idea that, my God, we can now rewind. I mean, there's a film called Vanilla Sky. I don't know if you've seen it, where they do that. I think it's Vanilla Sky, where they go into things where it's called pre-crime, and if someone commits a crime, then this system, Tom Cruise is, I think he plays this system, then speaks about this and says it's about to happen in like 2 or 3 minutes, and it's on this avenue, and so they learn. It's called, this pre-crime stuff, and that's essentially the same sort of thing he's saying. Whether it's before or after, you can zoom in to someone's brain and rerun it. But my point is what happened a bit earlier with the Marconi company. So that's it. Yeah, sorry. Anyone else jump in? Otherwise, I'll carry on with a few other slides, and then let's see how far we get.
Okay. Well, Stephen Truthseeker said about 10 years ago, I seen an orange van outside the place I lived with the word clockwork on it, and on the place where I live with the word clockwork on the side. And he went on to say, well, I'm trying to get a bit muddled up with my...
Probably a fan of that great film producer.
Yes, Clockwork Orange. Hang on.
Yeah.
That number, that colour in itself is quite interesting.
I've had a break-ins and ran off the road and a gun pointed at me, and Matilda believes that they've been targeted. And Alice Gorgeous says... A Clockwork Orange. And Paul says they show a lot of this truth in movies. The Marvel films are full of hints. And somebody said, a DJV2 said, it's Minority Report, not Vanilla Sky.
Bingo. Sorry, that's my mistake. But yeah, Minority Report
right.
is Minority Report is right. But there's also another one with someone just mentioned. Hang on, carry on. Yeah.
And Steve, you just said, was it the Thor, which Hitler was a member of the Thor Society, derives from the Greek word meaning altar. That's interesting.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, apparently Mr. H wasn't a member of that society himself, but it was prevalent along with another organisation known as Vril, which some listeners might have heard of.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, Adolf himself was very careful about what he, as he went through his election, he's in sort of 33. He's very careful about what and who he associated with. Most of it was done by people in the early. The SS wasn't invented, but you got Himmler, who always had a long interest in esoteric sort of magical literature.
Oh, he was well into it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you see his it's one of his houses where he's got an actually like Masonically tiled floor and all this sort of stuff. So he was well into all this stuff. But the interesting part is,
so was Churchill with who's that? Supposed to be the most evil man in the world. I can never remember his name.
Crowley.
Crowley. Thanks, mate. That's great. And also thanks for Patrick for putting all the stuff, all the technical stuff as well. Very good, Patrick. Thank you.
Oh. Well, I mean, have we got time, Eric? Time's gone faster because I sent Patrick an 8-minute video because I just thought, let's bring people back up to speed, which now we've talked over the intro, which is my fault mostly. So, but just to show you that I wasn't hallucinating when I read out the list of 23 people, I found a video. It's so rare from the 80s, I think British or American news group, and basically it goes through some of these deaths and what happens. You even see a CIA agent at the start going through this stuff. So, I mean, it's 8 minutes. Do you want to play, Eric, or do you want to carry on discussing things?
Why not? I mean, in chat, they're talking about targeted individuals. There's a number of people
that's the one.
Believe that after being on truth movements, marches and that, they've been targeted. And, it's Now, wow, Alice Gordon says it's turning into a targeted individual's private show. Yes, that's interesting. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
why
but
not? I mean, why not? Patrick, would it be possible to play that? And again,
Yeah.
thank you very much for the technical things you're doing. It is very much appreciated because I don't think my computer's up to it, and nor is my brain up to it. So let's see. I'm actually on presentation mode, Patrick, so it can go up, I believe.
Okay, just give me 1 second here.
yeah.
Okay,
And
thanks,
so
mate.
that you can hear it.
all right. While Patrick's doing that, I want to,
Mhm.
based on what Alice just said, I want to make a point that it's not just target individuals as we know them with because I did meet someone that went to meet Tony and Sherry Blair at a conference, and then when they went back, they sent a letter to Sherry Blair about something, and from that point on, this guy and a group of other people that he'd met, and this was in Liverpool 2008, they were electronically harassed. I mean, literally had things in their
Really?
head, had people turn up on the street outside the house, had things in their head going, "You're for it, you might as well kill yourself." I mean, poor people, right? They all had blue ribbons on. I met these I was doing a talk in Liverpool 2008, and I went outside. I was like, I said, why have you 6 or 7 people got ribbons? And the one guy told me, and it was just simply because he'd offended Sherry Blair, right? And I believe that because it suddenly came on all of a sudden. So,
I
but
believe it as well.
yeah, but the Marconi thing is a bit different. So the Marconi thing isn't
Okay.
about it. Yeah. So anyway, right. So let's see if Patrick can
Yeah,
get this. It's
too
just
far away,
right.
and I'll mute my microphone. So we'll see.
Tell me, well, first of all, tell me if you can hear this.
Incidents and the death at the Bristol
Yes.
Bridge. All
Yeah,
happened.
fine.
Okay, I'll start over. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Incidents and the death at the Bristol Bridge all happened within just 30 days of one another. What does American intelligence say about all of this? The CIA, as usual, refuses to comment. But we did talk to a respected intelligence expert in Washington, Ray Klein, who's been an advisor to 7 presidents.
Intelligence analysts have to study the probabilities. I would say the probability is that
Listen to this
in
Bumbo
most
Jumbo.
of the cases that have been reviewed, there is a hostile purpose by an enemy intelligence service which has either controlled or has suggested to maybe irresponsible people that it would be wise for them to attack a specific enemy, and that those enemies are the high-tech defense research community.
One very senior member of that high-tech defense research community was John Ferry, another Marconi employee. Ferry's widow says he flew to NATO headquarters in Brussels every 2 weeks to chair an important NATO research committee. And a few years ago, he was the British military's top research and development man in Washington. Of all the deaths we examined, his was probably the most gruesome.
I mean, did you know the way in which he killed himself? I mean, he actually took 2 electrodes and taped them. He had some black sticky tape to his molars where he'd got fillings in his teeth, stoppings.
Delightful.
Metal on metal, like that. I mean, it was an extraordinary thing to do. It's horrible.
But even though Mrs. Ferry finds the way her husband died extremely bizarre, of all the widows we talked to, she was the least suspicious. She told us that 1 month before his death, John Ferry and his daughter were driving down a country road when a
Listen
truck
to this.
swerved directly at them.
Yes.
Although no one was seriously injured, Ferry seemed to suffer a complete mental breakdown. Mrs. Ferry contends that if you look closely at any large industry, you'd find a comparable suicide rate. But a suicide expert we talked to says there's something unusual here.
A number of
Yeah,
these
yeah, I
deaths
think-
do not appear to fit the pattern that you would expect from people of this background.
Meaning no suicide note?
No suicide note. Some of the deaths, and 2 in particular, are very, very bizarre.
Absent any severe mental disorder, any mental illness, how do you explain such bizarre methods?
Well, I can't, other than perhaps to quote dear old Hamlet when he says, "Methinks there's something rotten in the state of Denmark."
Last year, another defense scientist died here in the seaside village of Lytham in northern England. John Whiteman, a computer expert at British Aerospace, had been working on a new fighter aircraft being developed by Britain, Germany, and Italy. He was found drowned in his bathtub, empty bottles of whiskey and sleeping pills at his side. And yet, curiously, no pills and only a fraction of that alcohol were found in his system. The
What a
death
shock. What a shock.
the others seemed hard to explain. The local coroner was unable to determine the cause of death. The verdict, once again, left open. But this case focused not so much on questions of foul play, but on another problem facing the defense industry, a problem no less insidious.
A lot of these men seem to have been suffering from stress, and I think stress is a problem in the defense industry, and it seems to be a problem that isn't recognized by the companies concerned.
Mrs. Whiteman says her husband was stressed out and anxious over an impossible assignment that his bosses refused to release him from, a claim the company denies. Although she's puzzled by his death and the unexplained pill and whiskey bottles, absent any evidence of foul play, job-related stress is the only explanation she can come up with.
It was only when he was asked to do something that he felt was impossible, and I think he was put under the stress by his superiors.
When we contacted British Aerospace about the Whiteman death, we were told that stress is a personal problem, one the company can do nothing about, and that any further comment on this case would violate the Official Secrets Act. Journalist Tony Collins points out that stress cannot explain all of the deaths. He cites the case of Peter People, who did secret research at the Royal Military College. 2 years ago, after an enjoyable evening playing Trivial Pursuit with friends, his wife found him dead beneath his car in the locked garage. The engine was running, his head directly under the exhaust. But police said it was impossible to get into that position with the garage door closed.
Why he would kill himself is absolutely baffling. I don't think you can say that stress is a contributory factor in all the cases. Obviously, stress must play a part in some of them. But I don't think any of these cases lend themselves to a single easy explanation.
Some critics say the British government's refusal to launch an official investigation is just one more example of a growing obsession with secrecy, especially in matters of defense and intelligence.
Even if there was nothing untoward, nothing suspicious about it, surely this country should be concerned that some of its top scientists and computer experts engaged in top defense contracts have lost their lives. I would have thought that would concern any government anywhere throughout the world.
But so far, demands for an inquiry have been falling on deaf ears, and it appears the widows could be left with a maze of troubling questions, along with their grief. Is this string of deaths only a coincidence, a series of unconnected accidents, misadventures, and suicides, as the British government insists? Or is there more to it? Is the government holding back information in the name of national security? Is the high-tech, high-pressure world of defense research pushing scientists over the brink? Has espionage played a role in any of these deaths? Many of the victims' families say they don't know who or what to believe, and fear that in the end, their need for answers will always lose out to the tight-lipped secrecy of the defense world. What do you think happened?
I don't know what happened. I wish I knew.
Do you think your husband committed suicide?
No, I don't. No.
Do you think you'll ever know what happened?
I doubt it. I hope I will, but I don't believe I ever will.
No, they don't want to.
Stone, what's the reaction of the U.S. Embassy to all of this?
Hugh, a spokesman there told me that they've been following the press reports, passing them on to Washington, but beyond that, they don't know anything more about this story than we do. But they're inclined to believe the British government's position that this is just a coincidence.
Well, what about the British public and their attitude? Are they getting annoyed with all the official secrecy?
Well, somewhat annoyed, somewhat suspicious, I think. People we talked to told us they felt the government just isn't telling all it knows about this subject. In fact, the Thatcher government has recently proposed legislation in Parliament that would strengthen the Official Secrets Act, which in this country would already be considered unconstitutional. So that adds to the puzzlement of this whole case.
Thank you, Stone.
That's it.
Nathan, would you call our court system
That's a lot. That's finished there.
This family would. They're not on trial, but John Stossel shows us...
That's it, Patrick. That's it. I think that's it at the end.
Patrick, thanks a million for that. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for putting it up on the screen. Much appreciated. Thank you. So, we go over to audio. Here we are. Now, what do you? That really says it all. It's really weird, isn't it? I mean,
Well,
especially that bloke who in the garage, asphyxiated by the exhausts, and how did he get into that position?
Yeah, well, actually, when you look at the photographs that you can find online, and again, out of these 23 deaths I've looked into, God, a good 15 or 16, and the ones that I could find the information on, and even have tried to get local authorities to give me the inquest, but my God, that's a struggle. I've got a couple, but anyway, so the case you just mentioned, Eric, not a chance. His head. If you want to kill yourself, I mean, back in the 80s, I think we still had leaded petrol, right? And I think, isn't that what kills you? So these days you get carbon monoxide, but we have in most
Carbon
cases,
monoxide.
it's
You can't kill yourself with diesel engines. You just get
No.
a bloody nasty headache. But with a petrol engine, yes, you will kill yourself.
Well, but so what happens even if we have a catalytic converter? Doesn't that take out most of the stuff? I don't know. I think it's hard to kill yourself these days.
I don't know, but I think it still would do. I think it would still, because it's still
Well,
carbon monoxide that's coming out.
well, absolutely, in a small enough space. But the point is, when you see the photos of this guy, his head wasn't anywhere near, in fumes, heat rises, so his head was like a good foot down from the exhaust pipe. And this is a common thing with many of these situations, that what they say it just makes no sense. And yet somehow, and that's the interesting thing to me all along is, hang on, how could this group at Marconi, or the intelligence agents, or the military, which is what essentially has ruled all these deaths and has sort of kept them quiet, how could they jump in on a local police force, say in Southern Cornwall or somewhere else, and have basically said, well, no, we don't believe that guy's died like you said with that exhaust pipe. Sorry, that guy has died that way with that exhaust pipe, and what you're saying, because his head was 2 feet lower, and this goes on about jumping off bridges when a guy survived and all this other stuff. But the main point is, what you hear from the families of these people is they all wanted to do things like, they got very depressed in the last 6 months. They wanted to leave their jobs at Marconi or associated companies. They wanted to get another job somewhere else. A few people wanted to become like a gardener and other things. So something happened in these high-tech jobs that then, and it wasn't just the case of, oh God, I'm a bit tired of my job, I wouldn't mind retiring early. This was like, get me effing out of here. I've handed my notice. And it's because they were exposed to very high-tech, and I believe psychological, but also a pressured environment of complete secrecy, that if they dared leak this, whatever happened after the Falklands was so high-tech and was so secret that they were told that if you dare leak any of this stuff, and I think it became a real issue. And maybe also on top, the stuff they were doing, whether it's satellites, which I think you can go on, if you go into the book that I held up, Eric, last time, which was this Open Verdicts by the computer guy, the red cover thing, then he goes on about the Star Wars, we remember that, the Star Wars SDI, the idea that the Star Wars thing was going to then protect us from Russia, all of which was a bit
Ronald Reagan.
Right,
it's all bullshit, wasn't it?
Right, absolute bullshit. It was a scam for funding. Ethel happened on a technological level, but they used it to, I believe, bring in this other technology, which is, as Stephen Truthseeker said, which is slightly, and it's a massive idea that they wanted to control the whole global brain of the planet with special satellite and AI stuff that was just emerging then, to do with steering people's consciousness. And I think one of the experiments they were doing, I'll jump ahead of my whole stuff here. One of the experiments they were doing, I think they switched the technology that wasn't quite ready yet. This is my theory. They moved it onto these Marconi people, because I think something happened with this technology that made them think, my God, I'm not doing this. I don't want to work on this. It's insane. And next time I come on, I'll give you 2 or 3 of the quotes that are astonishing from the guy, Victor Moore, who is in the list of the 23 Marconi people. I'll give you 2 or 3 quotes from him that he says what this substance that turned up suddenly at Marconi in 1983 did, and it was mostly dealt with in the factory. I think it was Rochester. We mentioned Rochester. There's somewhere else. So when we have more time, then I've sent you the document that I found. It took me a year to find it. I found the document that goes, right, my God, in 1983, we developed this adjacent laboratory with all these high-tech things in it, which Marconi had never, Eric, you mentioned last time, you said, well, all they did in the 50s and 60s was invent radios, and they didn't. By the time they sort of did in a way, but by the time you got rid of, what was it, the solid state circuit, or you brought in something, all this stuff that happened in electronics, and you brought in the chip and all this sort of stuff. So they then moved into, of course, to doing satellites, aeroplane, what's the word for that anyway, and all this other stuff, and way more than that. And along with that came brain and mind control, because that's what the US were also into, and we're a big ally of the US. So, and I think they then something was going on where these Marconi people were going to leak. They are going to crack up and go to the press, or they're going to leak it to their friends and family, and so they couldn't go out and stab them in the street, not 25 of them. So what they did is they used this technology, also partly as a practice thing. Just like, this happened. Bill Gates did this with COVID. Where did he do it? Africa, right? So they went to Africa and jacked all these people up with all this stuff. Have you got some? All right. I thought you were going to show. Yeah, there's one. There's one I've got where it shows the document which he goes, right, Marconi in Rochester, Kent have suddenly built an astonishing new thing in 1983, a year after the Falklands War. Way ahead of anything that was in Britain or England at the moment. So that's my point. Something happened and they used this technology. It wasn't quite ready. They hadn't quite got it sorted. They have now, believe me, right? And it's, if I was to waffle on about the end of what I found out, it's quite hairy. With just that, so one idea, now they're at the stage, I'll say this, I'm going to finish. They're at the stage now where cleverly, instead of targeting you, so putting voices in your head and going, right, you're a bastard, go and kill a local taxi driver, or go and do this, go and rape someone, all this other stuff that they've done for years with this stuff. What they can do now is plot ahead with satellites to people you sort of may not know in the street. You're walking down your local street and there's people around you, there's Jim who walks his dog every morning. There's Valerie who goes and buys a burger at this, right? What they do, they instead of mind effing you and they basically then do the people around you to absolutely dislike you. So you then get ostracized from your community, and that is the first way. So imagine the Marconi people. That's the first way you then start cracking up. We all of us need social cohesion, and we need people to be friends and be friendly. We can't survive on our own. That's known about the human species. We can't. You might find the odd person living on their own in a house or a cave in the old times, but overall we need to be told that we're decent people and we're sort of loved and wanted by people around us. Well, if you do friends and family and you tell these people are susceptible, not everyone from my view is susceptible to this stuff, but if you're the susceptible type to this mind barrage that's now AI run, you can make a person get so depressed and pissed off that you can make them jump off a bridge, right? Or you can make them go and shoot someone, all this other stuff. And I even do something with Derren Brown from Britain, who once said, in no way, a journalist said to Derren Brown, said, what, can you actually get someone to kill themselves, or to shoot someone, a president or something like that? He's like, hypnotism can't do that. And then a year later, he proved he can do. He did it. He did it. Right.
I remember that with Derren Brown. Yeah. But the thing that gets me, this might not be. Sorry, I'm not. I hope I haven't. Excuse me, rudely interrupting. Okay. What I was going to say is that I've noticed a very strange thing that's happened over the last 5 years. Now, before I live in a cul-de-sac. Before the lockdown, I'm on very good terms with neighbours either side of my house. Yeah. And the people opposite me in the cul-de-sac, there's about 12, 13 properties. There's only about, two that I don't really get on with, 2 or 3. But they would walk past, if I'm out in the front garden, seeing me roses or whatever, and say, hello, pass time of day, nice time. And now I notice that they look as if they've got the world of worries on their shoulders, and they're just looking ahead, and they're just. Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen the film Fritz Lang's Metropolis, where you get all the workers all walking along like this.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's a slight exaggeration, but it's similar. Yeah. Yeah. They all look as if they've got the world of worries on their shoulders, and the amount of times they just walk past my garden, saw me in there, and just didn't say anything. Don't say anything to anybody. Just very weird behaviour.
Yeah, because certain people are susceptible from what happened in, and again, this is another tangent. So what happened in 2015 when suddenly, and I fought against this, and I got into trouble with a lot of my local authority, and very few people did, right? And I couldn't get anyone in my area to stick up. I was like, they suddenly started trimming hedges back and installing all these, they claimed as LED light poles, and some of them they're just LEDs, but in between that you get these huge towers they're sneaking into every different area. And yes. I believe these things are simply sending out things to go So right, take the vaccine, do this, and at certain points, if they find someone that they think is susceptible, even more susceptible, then they can make them do other things and stuff. And this is a known thing all the way since the 60s with MK Ultra, Project Monarch. But now it's way ahead of that. It's way ahead of anything you read from the 1960s. People keep going on about MK Ultra or on the bans from the 60s in California. It's just bullshit. That's gone. We are now in an area where they can zap every one of us based on our DNA frequency, and they can do it. But not everyone is susceptible to this stuff. Certainly the low level stuff, which I think these street maths that I've studied, and I've studied the frequencies, gigahertz frequencies, and so not everyone is vulnerable. And if you've got a decent brain on you and you know your own, and the most important thing is know your own internal thoughts. So we call it our monkey brain. So when we have something that's going, oh, you should, David, you should have got up for work a bit earlier, or you should have made your partner a cup of tea and you didn't because you were, and all that sort of. So that sort of stuff. Then if you can override, you get to know what is simply your own little monkey voice that's your own, that you've always had since you were a kid, and then get to know anything else that might be coming in, and they are coming in. And I can give you a case with Jeff Rents and Cliff High during the vaccine rollout era, that both, because they are highly influential people, both of them out of nowhere, around about without 2 or 3 days aside, they had a transmission in the head going, take the vaccine. This is the COVID vaccine. Take the vaccine. It's good. It's harmless. And both of them came on. I listened to both those people, and they had that thing in their brain. And I don't believe that one had heard the other. It was so close together. So both those people, because they are sort of influencers in the alternative sphere, they had that message sent. And I think they amplified up this frequency, and they hit Jeff Rents and this guy and Cliff with this stuff, and basically to try and get them to then go out and broadcast and say, oh well, again, they think it's going to work, but of course they forget a lot of this stuff. They forget that we're far cleverer than them, or we can override all this shit.
Well, that's it. We're all different. I mean, there was a chap on YouTube. I won't say his name because I think it's a very sad situation, but I followed him on YouTube because, on a completely different subject. I mean, I've always been a DIY person. I've always wanted to be an inventor. I love inventing ideas and different things like this. And this station that he had on YouTube was full of that. It was brilliant. He showed you how to make heaters and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And when the what came along, he was promoting people, saying, "Go and have the what thingamajig." And I thought, well, hang on a minute. Sorry, mate. This station is about inventions and top tips on how to make things and that, which is, again, I'm very much into. And I'm hoping to do a TikTok channel or a small channel on YouTube on money-saving hints, money-saving tips and things like that, because I'm very much into that. Being a tight-fisted git, you see. Anyway, what I was going to say is it's great. And he was saying, I have this, and I got a bit peed off with this. I thought, what's that got to do with money-saving tips? Well, I cannot say that there's anything to do with this because I do not know any of the circumstances. But unfortunately, this poor sod's wife died suddenly. And about a week ago, a video came on. Now, his wife died a couple of months back. And then he's carrying on with the channel, but not doing so many posts. And he was riding a bike and he said, this will be the last video I'll ever do on this channel. He said, I won't do any more. Thank you very much. It was very nice. And he seemed to be okay, and off it went, you see. A couple of days later, on came a video. RIP, his brother came on and said, the man's committed suicide.
There you go.
Now, I can't say whether it was anything to do with what.
Yeah.
I can't say. I have no proof at all. None at all. But you can surmise, I don't know. And I haven't mentioned his name because I don't think it would be a nice thing to do. He's a very nice man. But it really gutted me. And, because he seemed okay. And this is what happens with a lot of these. Richard D. Hall has looked into the shootings up north, and they reckon that most of these people that were doing the shootings were in a trance.
Yeah, I could
We're
go on about
doing it.
shootings. I could go on about shootings
Yeah.
in Britain and America. Which is why I wanted to come on to your bang bang gun thing, and then I didn't in the end because I think you're being very cautious, which I understand. It's your channel and show, but I have evidence from a nurse at Dunblane, right? And Dunblane was where British handguns got banned because of Dunblane, right? Well, I met a nurse that was actually there, and she told me so much stuff over the years. So it's it's difficult. So we have to sort of know what's right, and when are we sort of hallucinating this stuff, and that's why it's such a clever thing with this. But imagine what you just said, Eric. That if someone's had the shot, and this, I don't know whether I even buy this graphene oxide thing, but what if it's true that it then amplifies your ability to get signals in from all this 5G shit that's around our bloody neighborhoods, right? So in that case, you're going to run into some huge problems because your body becomes an amplifier then for this stuff.
We've got to be a bit careful because we are on YouTube as well. So I'm just being a little bit careful what I'm saying.
All right, I don't understand all that stuff. I just open my mouth, and I've had YouTube channels banned, but I get it. So I'll be careful with you. But I just think I think we should all be able to discuss handgun control because
I 100% agree with you. I think we should be able to discuss anything, and it hurts me to say these sort of things because I don't believe in censorship. Yes, I do believe in censorship for children, though. There's certain things that children shouldn't see until they're adults. But now children can see almost anything, which I think is disgusting. It really is.
Absolutely.
But I do believe, as I say, I do believe in censorship for children, which we've always had.
Yeah.
But one thing I was going to say, I don't know whether you're aware of. Have you heard of that case? I think it was in Berkshire or Oxfordshire in about 1977, 76, 77. There's a load of children in a field having a field party, having like a event that the school was running.
Right.
And one after another, now this is in a beautiful field, beautiful sunny day, fair distance from the main roads. One after another, the children were coming over bad and collapsing, and the teachers were collapsing. And a fleet of ambulances came along to pick these children up and take them to the hospital. And when they got to the hospital, there's nothing wrong with them. They couldn't understand why they were throwing up, why they were fainting. It was mass fainting. They're all collapsing in the field. And that happened, I think it was either Berkshire or Oxfordshire.
1976, 76, you think about
76, 77. It's off the top of my head. I know it was in the 70s.
Well, I get this excuse they'll use because I remember 1976. It was that storming summer that you'll remember. It was so bloody hot. Yeah. So, I mean, I was there and all the fish had died in our local park pond. And I was there as a kid. I was 76, 5 years old. So, and all these, the water was so low and polluted. I got outraged because the local council brought in one of those water sucker things and because it's starting to smell. I was ranting onto my mum going, they're sucking up the poor fish, but the fish were all dead. So anyway, maybe they'd use the excuse that it was a hot day and this, but you've mentioned that, Eric. I'm going to look it up and I'll have a look for that.
I'll try and find it. And it was, I think it was on That's Life show. And it was on a lot of programs that it was just a complete mystery why these kids, it's not only the children, it's the teachers, the parents, were just fainting and feeling terrible.
Yeah.
And they said that perhaps it's mass psychosis, like a psychology. One person faints and the rest of them feel like fainting. Bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit, right? But there is one other episode that I guarantee most people will remember here is the Greenham Common women, where they try to actually they tried to storm the base, Greenham Common, the nuclear base. This was early 80s, and they all started feeling sick for days on end. And that was the nuclear. They were using then an electromagnetic thing to basically F up your body. So essentially you were too sick to fight, which you can do with electromagnetics. But electromagnetics also allow body and muscle control. It's astonishing. I mean, I don't want to get grim here, but these effers that and control of this global matrix of satellite control things, they can rape women. They can rape women, and women feel like they're being raped. So that's how ahead this stuff is. And make people think they're Jesus Christ and all this stuff. So, and again, if you look at what happened to the Marconi people, there was some weird stuff. And what have you got to do to jump off a bloody bridge? You've got to be hammered with something. Most people don't do that with suicide. So if you look through all the Marconi deaths, there's something weird going on. And you know what? No one said this, but I believe this is the only conclusion to what was going on. And if we want to do something next Sunday, I'll go into the next phase of things of what happened after the Falklands and what happened at Marconi.
Just one moment, I'll look it up now. Also, I'm looking it up. We've had Stephen Truthseeker said, "How do I contact David?"
right. David Griffin, I don't care anymore, right? David Griffin 23 at gmail.com, or I am at Morfiend, MOREFIEND, on Telegram. So yeah, David Griffin 23 at gmail.com. Thank you, Stephen.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I'll add a new banner. Now, I'll do it at the bottom, and I put down, was it David
Griffin, all one, yeah, all lowercase 23, which is the magic number.
23
at Gmail. Yeah. At fascisticgmail.com. Although it's a good service. Thanks, Google.
Right. And I'll put, hang on, tickler. Text scrolls horizontally along.
No, you don't want that.
No, I don't want that. Right. Create banner. Right. Here we go. And I'll show that on the screen. And I'll hang on a minute. I've got to take this off. Right. Is this correct?
No, because you made it look like an Asian spelling of Gamelli or something. So it's Gmail. Look, you've missed it. Oh, sorry, you've got an extra I there.
I'm terribly sorry. I wondered who's going to notice that.
It's my name, so I spotted it. That's so just I mean,
right,
one.
Right.
Get rid of the sacred eye. There we go.
Right, hang on a minute.
We're now eyeless. There is no pineal gland.
Right. I'll do it again. Or is it David Griffin?
MI5 are going to spam me now with stuff.
Right. I think I got that right. There we go. Am I right now?
I can't see nothing, Eric. Can't see anything. Sorry.
Oh, hang on. No, it's at the top. I should put it at the bottom. Well, can you see it at the top?
Nope. Well, I don't know. Hang on. My screen is a bit mini. I can't work out this new bloody layout for Rumble. Hang on. There we go. No. No.
Hang on. I'm just altering it.
I'm sure Stephen Truthseeker got it from just what you put up then, so we'll be all right. I mean, Gmail is we type Gmail in every day, don't we, when we mail people? So I'm sure he's got it.
As that.
Oh, hang on again. See, I've got to scroll now.
It's 2 F's, isn't it, Griffin?
Yeah. You want another F in F? You want another F in F, Eric? Another F in F.
Right, just one moment. It's very, very small. I can hardly see it, you see. Right. How's that? Is that correct? What do you think? What do you think, Steve? Do you reckon that looks correct? Do you reckon I get full marks? Because I think David's connection's gone.
Oh, is that right?
He's gone.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Quite possibly.
Yes, that does look right. Here we go. Yeah, it's very, very small on my screen. I can hardly see it. So that's my excuse. Whew, got away with that one, I think. Quite heavy tonight. Quite interesting. I've known for years that they've got the technology. He said that battery's gone on laptop. So we got it there. So Patrick, what do you think? And Steve, quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just thinking about recently they had, I don't know if you remember Hunter S. Thompson. You remember the writer from America? He did the movie he did the book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Johnny Depp made a movie about it.
Can't say I know of him, no.
Okay, Americans might know him. But he supposedly committed suicide, and they just recently opened up an investigation again, saying it wasn't a suicide. So it just kind of reminded me of that. These people who seem like they're mind controlled, because if you ever saw him or listened to him, he sounded like he was mind controlled, did a lot of drugs and that kind of thing.
Well, look at Britney Spears. Do you ever see that interview with her? When the interviewer must have said a word but triggers her off, and she sort of went all sort of freaky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very, very strange. Very, very, very odd. And I've noticed a lot of famous people, including, what's his name, are getting dementia. Which is very strange. Because dementia... Bruce Willis, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I mean, have you seen recent pictures of him? It's terrible. It really is. He's just sort of, he's gone. Now, what is it? I mean, I know that it's aluminum. Excuse me, a bit of American coming in there. Aluminum foil.
Aluminium.
Anything to do with aluminium. That's it. It's funny. I did the American version, and America does the English version. You're a little bit like
Quiet.
I call you an English American because you understand all the English.
I'm picking
terms.
up all the I'm picking up these Englishisms.
That's right, and and I think that no, that aluminium. I mean, I've got a pressure cooker that's aluminium. Unless I wrap my food up, I don't carefully in a parcel. I don't use aluminium. And in the army, your mess tins they used to be aluminium, but I noticed they're stainless steel now.
Oh right, I haven't seen
aluminium?
a steel one. I had an aluminium one.
Really?
I use copper ones at home.
Very good. And I tell you, the Dutch use stainless steel ones. Why? Because I've got one. And
I like cast iron better.
now that's a good. Oh yes, but bloody heavy. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
My charger, Alice Jordan says, just short circuited and tripped everything out.
Oh, wow.
Your charger's not trip. Hey man, I'm having electricity. It's groovy. Sorry, sorry. Your charger's on the trip. I hope your charger gets better. That's it. Yes. And Stephen Tree Seeker says, yeah, I know Hunter. Yes. And now Hell's Angels, Hunter Thompson.
He wrote a book in the 60s called Hell's Angels, and it was about the Hell's Angels biker gang.
Because Hell's Angels in this country, you know about them, Steve, don't you? There's a gentleman, and I'll say he really is a gentleman. Is sort of, when you look at him, he's the sort of person you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley coming the opposite way. But has a heart of gold, and he's starting like a police force. So if a lady feels threatened, she thinks she might get raped, or a child feels threatened, they phone this number, and one of his team will turn up, and just their presence alone will deter any rapist or anything like that. But they come in peace.
There was a big concert in Altamont back in 1969 that the Rolling Stones were part of, and they had hired the Hell's Angels as their bodyguards, and they're these big leather jacket bikers. But they ended up killing a man on the stage.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. Yes, that's interesting. Now, Hatchy says, I'm on stainless steel saucepans, man. It's just, I just can't get off a stainless steel. It's just, I'm into stainless steel. I thought I could handle it, but, And Alice Gorgeous says, cast iron pans are good. Oh, you're into cast iron. Yes. I sort of,
you keep them greasy and well seasoned.
Yeah.
That's right, yes. I got a pissy little frying pan, and I bought it, and it's too bleeding small. I mean, you can just about get one fried egg in it, and that's about it. It's almost over. So I got to get a bigger one. Yes, of cast iron. Yeah, they're very heavy, but they're very good. Yeah. Johnny Depp played Hunter Thompson's movies. Did he really? Yes.
Yeah, and that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie.
Yes. The Shield.
Yeah, The Shield was that biker gang. That's a kind of, I'm not saying it's the ultimate answer, but it just shows you that people can be resourceful. So when the world changes for the better and the police force become non-existent because people realize that these are just a bunch of criminal thugs in uniforms, then more benevolent individuals might form little groups such as the Shield to act as like protectors of innocent citizens. So
I agree.
Yeah,
and I think that as I was telling to Nathan earlier off here, I don't think he had a very good internet connection tonight. That's why it hasn't come on. My mother during World War II. Now, in this country, it was full of American servicemen, a lot of English servicemen, all servicemen from allied countries were here. And the young teenage men sort of early 20s, so they've obviously got the old testosterone pumping. But my mother said she walked around and she's quite safe, because if one person attempted to rape or anything like that, there would be an absolute riot of blokes to protect her. And they'd knock 9 bells of crap out of anybody that tried to harm her.
Exactly. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
We don't need Freemason thugs in uniform coming to just to rob people with a bogus, man-made, inauthentic laws. We need to embrace a self-defense principle. And
that's
means
what I thought of when we
people.
had the lockdowns with COVID, that we needed something of that nature to counteract what was going on. The enforcement of it.
I agree. I mean, really, members of the truth community who know what's going on and know that the police isn't the Dixon of Dock Green that they were once painted with. These are just thugs in uniform.
The weeds. They're weedy as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to have to be over a certain height. Was it 5'10" or something like that? I don't know fully, but I saw a so-called policeman the other day, and we had PCSOs, which was it? They're not full policemen. They're what they call them. They're sort of part policemen, community people.
Well, if they're short, they're half a policeman.
That's half. Yeah, they're half. But this one was about. He had all the old gear on, but he was about 5'4". I mean, I'm 5'7", and I towered over him. You know, it's just, I wouldn't say he's a midget. I mean, regardless of people's heights, I always thought a policeman would have to be a bit imposing. You know, that's why they had the big hats, so they're a bit imposing. You know, as part of the uniform. But there was a retired policeman. I don't see him now. A chap with the surname of Burgess, and he said that it was the uniform that carried the authority, and he was often called. There was a bloke who was drunk. He said there was 2 ways of doing it. He said the hard way and the easy way. And he would go along and he'd talk to the chap. He'd be polite to the chap. And the chap said, I want us to finish my drink. He said, okay, finish your drink. And he'd sit there and talk to him for a long while. And then they'd gradually walk out together and he'd say, look, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'll get you home. And that's it. He said, that's how policing should be done. But he said, nowadays, what happened? About 10 coppers have come flying in and, they're arrested. And all, that's it. He said, they don't need that. They just don't need that type of thing. And I've noticed they handcuff people all the time now. Again, he said, you only handcuff people if they were fighting, throwing their fists out, if they were dangerous. You didn't handcuff a person who...
I would say that the police is a completely unnecessary organisation. It's a falsity that is unrequired. All society needs to do is embrace morality by understanding rights and understanding very basic principles of natural law. Trust me, it would take a while to sink in because we are so brainwashed. We have, like I said earlier, we follow religiously a pattern of mind control known as moral relativism, in which we do not even understand that we have got rights and we are obliged in nature to follow them because we automatically align our beliefs to authority and the police. So that word authority, if we look at that in a little bit more context, the word author is basically what somebody does to write things down, as in a book author, and the word right, authority, writ, is right, or whether you write things down, i.e. we write the laws, or we have the right to apply laws. No, they don't. Everybody's got rights. The police violate your rights. Just having a government violates all of your rights. All governments and police actually not only violate rights, but they actually cause society become violent, to accept violence, because that's what moral relativism is. In fact, moral relativism is one of the leading tenets in the religion of Satanism, and that's what everybody who embraces authority, it becomes follows a religious tenet of Satanism by following authority. So we have to become
That's right.
authority in our own right. We have to become sovereign. We can't class ourselves as being awake until we are sovereign. And being sovereign starts in your mind. If you can't think sovereignty in your mind, then you can't apply it into the world through your actions. So fundamentally, nobody or very few people in the truth community could class themselves as being sovereign. So therefore, nobody's really awake until we start obliging by following the principles of natural law, which is the laws of creation. Nobody can violate them, but we because we have free will, we can violate or disregard the laws of nature. And this is why the world's in turmoil. We're disregarding the laws of nature, and nature's
I
just
agree with you.
Nature's
And
biting
you
us on the
notice-
arse.
And you notice all these people in government, all they want to do is concrete over countryside, and push people into ghettos. That's all they're interested in. And why people can't get it into their thick skulls that governments have killed more people than all the bloody wars put together. That's the real fact of the matter. They're the mob. They're not there for us. Never have been and never will be. That is the problem.
Do you know what the word Satan means? I think it's a Latin word. The root of it. It means deceiver.
Really? And Santa Claus or Santa is an anagram of Satan, isn't it?
Well, it is a deception, because you tell them little children about Santa Claus coming down the chimney on every Christmas with gifts. It's a bit of a deception.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and I mean, where it came from really was Norse mythology, because people got the word piss. Do you know where that comes from? Because the shamans used to knew what magic mushrooms to have, and it was said that if you drank their wee, then you'd go on a trip like they did. And that's why they saw reindeers flying through the bleeding sky.
It's also Saint Nicholas, the story of Saint Nicholas.
St. Nicholas, yes, and you used to see Victorian cards and that, because they didn't really send Christmas cards to each other. It was always a man in a green outfit, and the red apparently came from Coca-Cola. So I heard. And the Santa Claus that we see today was the animator. He was a bloke who drew it. That's so I heard, you know. But
Can I reply to Hachi Hachi? He's
hang on. Where is he? Where is it?
He's mentioned a particular number, and I mean, I do presentations just on that number alone.
Is this the one? 22?
Yeah, it applies to so many things. It's a master builder. It applies to it's the number of Nimrod. It's a massive number in Freemasonry and all of occultism, such as the 22, the 22 cards in the Major Arcana, the 22 chapters in the Book of Revelation, 22 pathways on the Sephiroth. It's a massive number. It's got massive significance, which is why they equate that number to the elite Special Air Service in the Army. 22 SAS. I mean, that's not the historical reason they'll give you for having that number, but if you look at the iconography, the symbology of even the sandy coloured beret has got massive occult undertones that probably nobody in the entire army even understands. But most people in the army don't even understand their own rank structure, which is aligned to Freemasonry. And even if they did, they wouldn't even acknowledge it anyway. They'd see no relevance to that. But Hachi Hachi's saying he's met some chaps from that unit. All I'd say is, if anyone, I've said this many times before, if anyone in the British Army understands what's going on, by all means, come give me a shout. My email, I'll put my email on later. By all means, get in touch with me and join my occult academy, where I'll narrow things down as to what's really going on in the world. But if anyone is awake in the military, they really need to start stepping up to the plate, because the world isn't going to change until more people do the right thing, and nobody is doing the right thing if you're still in the military. That means you're still aligned to militarism. That means you're still aligned to moral relativism. That means you still believe that the government have a rightful authority, which they do not, because they violate rights to everybody. So everybody who works for the government is essentially in cahoots with the enslavement of their own society, including themselves. They just don't realize it because they don't understand the occult. So the world needs a bit of a shake up and a wake up and an education on occult themes in order to come to this conclusion.
Excellent. I mean, so it's Occult Academy on Telegram. And so please, I tried to share it. Where is it? And something else has come on. No, Opera has been updated. I don't want to know about Opera being updated. So I better take that off. And we'll try and show it on the screen. Where are we? Occult Academy. And we've also got Patrick's one as well, and my one. So let's have a quick shift. We might as well do a bit of the old presentation here. Now what's happening here? We've got that one there. Just bear me a few seconds. Let's get rid of that. Quit Opera. Yes, we quit Opera. Right. Now it should, Occult Academy should come up on the screen. And no, it hasn't.
I'll put the link in. That's my link coming up. So that'll take you to the Occult Academy, if hopefully on Telegram. But what I will say is, everybody I know of in the army has had the toxic bomb spear. Some of the toughest blokes in the world were walking around with underpants on their face to hide or protect themselves from a non-existent lurgy, like a bunch of complete wimps in the uniform.
Well, that's what gets me. And the trouble is, if you put something over your face, that gives you bacterial pneumonia, and they'll say, "Oh, it's the whatever it was, beginning with C," and that's
lack of oxygen.
Lack of oxygen, and also you think of all. I mean, there was a bloke that used to walk around a supermarket, Tesco's, and he had a mask on, and it was so grimy, it made you feel ill. It's grime all round it, so he's breathing in bacteria. Now, the body is made, this is exhaust system, we're breathing out what we don't want. It's like shoving a cork up your backside. It'll make you ill, and this is the trouble. People can't see it. And I mean, when it was in full swing, I saw this poor little sod in a wheelchair, a child in a pushchair rather, and he not only had a mask on, he had a plastic thing over his face as well. Poor little sod sitting there going, and it was on a hot summer's day. I mean,
but if anybody in the army recognizes, surely there must be people in the army now who've recognized that that was an absolute hoax of the highest degree. And if not, how on earth can you manage to be a soldier, a combatant, and not realize that you were the victim of a psychological war? I mean, it's almost, to me, I'm almost gobsmacked of how many dumbos don't realize that that was a complete hoax. And these lunatics who think they're all hard cases, wearing underpants on their face nappies, ritualistic shame muzzles, because somebody told them to dress like a complete Dumbo walking around to protect each other from a cough. You must be I mean, if you haven't cottoned on to these guys haven't cottoned on to that was a complete hoax, then I'm almost gobsmacked.
Well, that's right. And the latest thing, by the way, Hachi said, Steve, I'd love to chat with yourself.
Yeah, by all means, give me. I'll put my email on, mate. By all means.
Hang on. I can show your email up on the Dooflop. Where are we?
Have you got it? Yeah.
And I'm very good at getting emails wrong. So far away.
6blade473@gmail.com.
Hang on, 6blade.
I'm guessing Hachi was an ex-serviceman himself.
At gmail.com. Gmail.
What was the number combination again, Steve?
473. 6blade473@gmail.com.
Right.
I'll put it on as well.
Is that it? Is that it?
Let's have a look.
6blade473@gmail.com.
It's not coming up on my screen, but that's what it is. I mean, I'll put it in as well.
It's on the main screen there. So there we go. Okay, so
yeah.
it's up there. Okay, It's 473. That is a definite one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay, that's
Thank
it.
you.
That's on there.
So
Right.
Hachi or anybody else, I mean, obviously, I'm not. I haven't got a secretary, so if I get thousands of emails off YouTube watchers, I'll probably not be able to answer them all. But by all means, if you've got any burners, give me a shout.
Now, what I was saying about that woman walking around with a pushchair, that is child abuse, Eric. Poor kid. Yes, I agree. I agree with you. Yes, it was. I was disgusted with it. But you see, the thing is that gets me. I mean, first of all, there's people that are so bloody stupid they can't see. I just don't. I think it's this hypnosis type of thing.
Most people are like sheep.
Yeah. Yes. And Hachi, I haven't got it. He said it came up on the screen earlier. So
I'll stick it on again.
Yeah. Here we go. It's not going into private chat. It should be going into. Should actually. You put that in the YouTube one, Steve.
Yeah, so I've stuck it on YouTube. So,
for some unknown reason, it's not.
Or
come
either
on.
join the Occult Academy or
Occult
the
Academy.
Survive the Apocalypse, and I can get in touch with you privately through that if you want.
Hang on a minute. Let's see if I can do some fancy stuff here. Where are we? We got that. Yinka-donka-dinky-donky-do. Right, we got that. Right. Now let's have a look here. Now,
can I just elaborate on what Hachi said before? Because ultimately, I would like the military, who I used to be a member of, on board with a common understanding, to realise that the people they work for are actually the people who are at war with their own nation in a variety of guises, such as cognitive warfare and psychological warfare. They've done stuff, as I said on the last time I was here, they've done stuff to their employers, if you like, have done things to their own families, the family members of servicemen, with the toxic arms spear. That I don't think they'd be very pleased to understand or realise. So, if anybody wanted to discuss more with that, by all means, drop me an email and I'll spell it out to them.
Yes, well, this is all the ones. That's David's one. Our Cult Academy underneath. So you can just about see it. I think I made a balls of this. But no, what I was going to say is you've got a Cult Academy, and the other one is Survive the Apocalypse, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
One. So then you've got, was it Holy Land Radio? That's Patrick's one.
HolyLandRadio.com, yep.
.com, yes. Then you've got Paul English Live. He's one. And then you've got Fockham Hall Radio, which is, well, quite honestly, that's the Fockham Hall Radio. But quite honestly, I find Telegram far better than Facebook. And someone asked about, do I have a Facebook page? Yes, I do. It's Fockham Hall Radio. And there's I've got a couple of hundred members on there. I've got quite a following on there. So you can go onto Facebook. I'm also on Gab, and links are down below. Not in my crutch, but along down in the description below. Okay, so you can link onto any one of those, and it's getting a little bit, and getting a few more people on Gab, which is very, very good. And I think Gab is far superior to Facebook. It really is, because what I'm finding, I'm posting stuff on Facebook on other sites, and then it's not coming up. Because it has to be authorised by. If you're a bit lazy, you don't authorise it. So that's it. So there we are. Now, Alice Gorgeous says, Steve, there are ex-service personnel that have been begged serving forces to stand with us. They're too scared.
Yeah, well, this is hilarious, I think, because I used to work with some of the toughest blokes in the world. And like I've said, if you're wearing underpants on your face because somebody in government said it's a good idea, then to me, you must be either under massive mind control or a snivelling coward. But I'm not going to, I think being a coward is too strong a term. Misguided, misinformed, miseducated, mind controlled. That's what people were under. The reason why I didn't fall for this absolute BS is because my mind control was eroded years prior to that. I saw through that because I already realized that government was a complete crock, a complete abhorrent bunch of militaristic criminals. Sadly, nobody in society shares the same understanding, so you've got to kind of kowtow to the majority. It takes a lot of presence of mind to step outside of that. It means losing your job. It means being financially destitute. I've been there, wore that T-shirt, still wearing that T-shirt. It's not an easy thing, but people have got to step up to the plate. And if people have to realize morality, if you don't understand morality, I might as well be talking in a foreign language, because you ain't going to get it. You need to know morality at its core, because what's taking shape in the world is demonic. It's international Satanism is what's at the core of all of this. But until people...
That's right. Sorry, carry on, mate. I'm terribly sorry. I've cut in.
All right, it's not about that. But until people realise this in more numbers, we're basically fighting a losing battle. But I would say to service personnel, you go to war for a job. You're a combatant. That means you face fears and you deal with things and you fight. And if you have to be aggressive, then you be aggressive. And you should certainly at least have some ability to be assertive. Sadly, what I've seen is a bunch of complete puffs, absolute wimps. And that's pretty much the entire army. This is why I have personally, and I'll say it again, I'll put the offer out. Me and the entire army in a boxing fight, 80,000 to 1. And to be quite honest, looking at the absolute disgrace of your attitude, I think I'll probably win, to be fair. 80,000. So come and have a go if you think you're all hard enough. Failing that, come and join my channel. I'll teach you why you've all been screwed over, every last one of you.
Yes, I agree. And by the way, your email address is along the bottom there, sixblade473@gmail.com. There it is. Because Hachi said he still hadn't got it. So I'll leave it on there. And the thing is that you got it now, Hachi. I think it's I've got it. It's it. I'll be in touch, Steve. That's okay. And XO, which is David, I think, says puffs and woofters. Yes, that's the thing. And so what's that? By the way, I do hope you've given your battery a bloody good dressing down, a good thrashing. Yeah, sorry. Carry on, Dave. Steve.
All right. Ultimately, if people in the forces aren't awake, or if some of them realise there's stuff going on and they can't take some form of action, well, really it's because it's either, they don't want to lose their jobs or they don't want to say anything. I don't know, for whatever reason. Ultimately, I served legal notice personally, individually, to not only my commanding officer, to my regiment, to the Ministry of Defence and several police chief constables, and a lot more than that, by the way, by myself on a lot of occasions. If I can do that as an individual, imagine what you guys are missing out on. I'm addressing the army again. What the entire army could do if they had a little bit of moral fibre about them. But sadly, they've left it down to one person as a I'm not saying a spokesman for the army, but if one person in the army can do that, well, guess what? I'm sure there's plenty more people with a little bit more moral fibre than that.
Well, that's right. And I think also, what is the army there for? The army is to protect us, the civilians.
Yeah.
And we need tough guys, and real tough guys that you can rely on, because what it's always used to traditionally be is the army would be out there, the women would be in support. When there was the injured on the battlefield, the women would go out and care for the wounded and the injured afterwards. And the men are there. That's why during times of war, there's more male births than there are female births, which is very, very strange.
Wow.
And men are easily expendable. We're easily expendable. And that's why you protect the women. You look at these tribes, they go into the Amazon. Who comes out first? It's the men. The women are kept safe at the back. And as I've said before, that famous anthropologist, it wasn't a famous anthropologist, I can't remember his name. He wrote a book about it. I think it's called Fierce People. And they discovered that it wasn't the he-men, the sort of hunters, that made the population up. It was the wimps that stayed back and repaired the huts, and so they were the ones banging away the women. Seriously. But no, actually, yeah, it was the he-men as well. But you know what I was going to say? I was just having a laugh there, you know. But hang on, someone's playing "Happy Days Are Here Again." Happy days are here again. That's Patrick. Yeah. That's right.
Excellent.
That is one of my favourite tunes. But Steve, the show you did the other week, you always do good shows.
Well,
that
thanks.
one
Cheers.
that you did with
the self-defense stuff.
That is brilliant. And I bet you there might be some ladies out there that will thank you for that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, the
Let's
world's
hope they
getting a
won't
violent
use
place,
it.
so yeah.
It is. And it's got me sort of interested. When I go out now, I take my... Yes.
Yeah.
Your pencil?
My pen.
Your pen.
There it is. Yes.
Your toothbrush.
My toothbrush, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. So, and I say, stand back. I've got a toothbrush and it's loaded. No, seriously, that is bloody good. Because if that comes at you at quite a velocity, it's not very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's like everything else, like with a catapult. You aim downwards, away from the eyes. Someone's coming towards you, you aim for the legs or the naughty bits. And that's it, basically. But no, seriously, you don't want to, you can bruise someone, but it's just saying, don't come any further. Keep away. And that's it. But no, catapults, I was quite surprised at how you aim. You aim from the top. You hold it sideways, don't you? You don't hold it the way you conventionally. It's sideways, and you use the top as the aiming bit. I was quite amazed with that, But you can actually get them on eBay with actual laser things. Seriously, a catapult with a laser sight. That's bloody lethal, I would have thought.
I've got a couple of other little improvised. I'm going to use the term slingshot, and I know that's in the US.
Yeah.
That's what a catapult is. But
Yes.
these are other very basic contraptions that you can use to basically catapult a stone a considerable distance. I think I'll put a couple of little demonstration things on there. Survive the apocalypse over the next couple of weeks.
Yes, but the foolproof way of dealing with politicians is to stop them lying. Is to put a small little piece of lead. And it's just behind the ear, isn't it? You insert it just behind the ear, administered by Smith & Wesson. I'm joking before Scotland Yard knock on my door. Anyway, we're coming up to almost 3 hours. It's been a fantastic show. Thank you so much for coming on. If I'm banned from YouTube, I don't know whether I will be or not.
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. But if I am, just in case, I'll be on Rumble, whatever happens. So, it's not a problem there. So, it used to be a problem, but it isn't any longer. I doubt whether I will be, because I haven't mentioned that much naughtiness, I haven't said tit or bum. Oh, that get me banned, But no, it's been a fantastic night. And please join me again tomorrow night with Nathan Allenby for the first hour, or he might be on the second hour. I don't know. I don't know whether they've worked it out between themselves. And the bowler hat farmer, who's got a lot to report about farming, what's happening down on the farm, because it ain't good. And so that's going to be interesting. Also, I'm not sure they'll be able to get David back next week, but I think you're booked in next week, Steve. Let's have a look. What a piece of paper. Yes, 20th of October, you're booked in for. Title bid to be established. Survival Steve booked.
Oh, well, in that case, next week, I think what I'll do is I'll challenge the entire UK police force to a boxing fight. So
That's right.
This is what I'll do. Once I've filled in the entire British Army, I'll fill in the entire UK police. Unless if they read this, I'll save them. I'll spare anyone who reads that.
That's right. And you're on YouTube next week on the Monday.
Hey.
And I'll face the army with my slingshot. How's that? They don't lock it up on me, you know. What are you going to face them with, Patrick?
With with an actual catapult, like on the Holy Grail, Monty Python Holy Grail movie, where they sling a cow.
Oh yes,
a diseased cow. Yeah.
Well, I'll be in search. I'm hoping to do a short film in search of Britain's or England's rather, the last king, Harold.
Harold.
I'm gonna have to hopefully.
Harold?
I'm gonna try blogging sort of outdoors. Whether I'll be able to do it or not, I don't know. But so I might do a voiceover. But I'm hoping to do it soon, and also go around a local museum and things like that. Do outside broadcasts. That's what I'm planning. And of course, Top Tips channel coming up. Shows you how to save money. And did I tell you, I've actually found a phone company where you can actually get free calls, free texts, £2.90 a month. That's it.
All right.
Excellent. And thank you, Patrick, coming on tonight. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, to have your company. Thank you, David, as well, if he's still listening in. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
anything you'd like to say? And by the way, thank you, Patrick, for playing the Ambrose version of Happy Days, which is, of course, the best. So there we go. So see us, possibly the team as well, tomorrow night on YouTube. And we'll be doing a show, and be interested to find out what the what do you call it? The farmer, bowler hat farmer, has got to say, and also Nathan Allenby. So we'll be talking then. Anything you'd like to say to the audience before we go, Steve or Patrick?
Yeah, just thanks as always. The great comments and chat as well.
Yep.
All the best.
God bless. And you'll be on at the same time tomorrow?
That's right, same time tomorrow. And also, please tune into our Telegram channels. They're bloody good, you know. And we actually share information between ourselves and that. And that's Patrick's channel, which is Holy Land Radio, which is Steve's channels, which is, he's got two channels. Occult Academy, and the other one is How to Survive the Apocalypse. And of course, last but nowhere near least, is Fockham Hall Radio. And I did an article about Spoilt Kids Syndrome. My membership went, and so quite a few people didn't like it. So, no. To those who went, because my membership started to go down. But I thought, well, good.
You're weeding out the baddies.
That's right, yes. What's this now? Oh, yes. And David says, thanks for the video, Techno sorting.
No problem.
Yes, I second that as well. Bloody brilliant. And Hachi says, I've got Steve's email. That's good. So we're all happy then. And if I'm happy, you're happy, the cat's happy, we're all happy. So there we are. And remember, think if there might be a miracle. Our dear leader might be deposed next week. You never know. Sir Keir Starmer, of course. because the shit is hitting the Extractor fan about him. So you never know. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. And whatever happens, please put your thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please tell others. And above all, have a bloody good laugh and good night.